I'm so confused.
So apparently, as of right now, everybody was down for invasion. All 7. But Robin's internet
But
crapped out.
but I can't start it because there's 7. We only can have a team of
Right.
6.
I'll back out for right now.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Hey, add Trogdor. I'll play with you later. I'll help you level up.
Alright.
Sweet. Sorry, man.
Alright.
Hey guys, I'm just streaming again. Gonna play some Invasion with these guys. And let's see how this goes.
You call Spectrum, tell them to fucking ramp your internet back up, stop being shitty, and we'll pick you back up.
I apologize, but this is for the shape of Italy.
God, I haven't heard one of those in a while.
I mean, this is like from back in the beginning of the decade when we were all still in high school. Someone.
Yeah, that's the first time I heard that one, but that one made me laugh.
What are you talking about? You gotta go back
Please
to, like,
ensure everyone.
2000.
Okay, so.
It's the turn of the millennium.
So I'm gonna restart my Halo as well.
I'm gonna restart my fucking Xbox.
Everybody just restart. Everybody just restart your.
Actually, hold on. Everybody go over to settings, go over to gameplay, and make sure that your installed games match up.
I have all the games installed.
So do I.
got
Let's
all
look.
except ODST.
I mean, Invasion is. We were just doing Invasion. That's just Reach. So.
Yeah, it can't. I mean, it's not telling me I have anything.
Everybody just restart your Halo
Here.
Halo MCC. That way we're all on the same page.
We may need to restart our entire fucking Xbox. That's the only way it gave us the update yesterday. Who knows?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't have to do that.
I don't know. It didn't show up an update at all until I restarted my Xbox. So.
All right, let me shoot an invite to you all. Here you go. So Yo-Yo, how close are you to being the next rank? Since we're the same rank.
I actually just got it. I was up till probably like 8 in the morning playing.
See, I didn't even get a play yesterday because I was one of the few consoles that my Reach wouldn't download. So it got to halfway, restarted, got to halfway again, restarted, got to halfway a third time. Then it kept going, got to like 70%, restarted. I was like, fuck this. I disconnected all my internet, and did everything, and then it finally downloaded.
Okay,
That's why
okay.
I've been up since 3 a.m.
Oh, I didn't have any issues when I downloaded it.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it just fucking works this time.
Some people are... Okay, so we have all 6. Okay. Perfect.
Oh, there it goes. Well, we did that, and it didn't work.
It's because...
It's because Trogdor's a god.
I'm the RNG god. One does not simply...
It worked fine.
So what
I am the
exactly
meme
do you
lord.
do in this game mode?
Invasion is... So you have 2 different teams. You have the Elites and the Spartans. The Spartans or the Elites could be defending or attacking. The attacking team needs to try and capture 3 objectives. 2 of those will be like zones that we'll have to capture. They'll count down from 20. And then at the end of that, there's like a core that we need to bring back to another zone that's like a drop ship. It'll either be a Pelican or a Phantom.
Yeah.
The defending team just needs to stop them.
Yeah.
Kill them, whatever. You unlock more weapons and different armor abilities as the game goes. So in the beginning, you only have 2 classes with basic like weapons. Second ability, more weapons, DMR, stuff like that as the game progresses.
Yeah. Occasionally you'll have to deliver a bomb to blow up an objective, but that's like on select maps.
Yeah.
And the Forge World maps fucking suck. So
Yeah,
whatever, they're not that bad. This one's
some of them
actually
do.
pretty good.
Some of them suck
This
pretty
one's
bad.
actually pretty good.
Well, one of the first ones we played on Forge World yesterday sucked hard.
I think it was actually Overgrowth that we played on like 4 times.
Oh shit, guys, they got Zoro. I think we're done for, guys.
Nah,
And-
it's Juno. Better watch out.
Oh,
They got
no,
Mike Tyson. It's game over, son. Give us the 1-2 and down goes Frazier.
No, that's not Mike Tyson. That's Mike Tyson's Tiger.
Bro, that's even worse. They're great.
It was worse yesterday. We were playing with the actually playing. There's actually sweaty, actually sick, and actually balling we were playing against.
Alright,
Yeah.
so we're playing defense.
Yep.
That means
Yeah,
we have
we're
to
defending.
prevent them from
Yep.
getting into the zone.
Yep,
So
yep.
as soon as you see if they get in one of them, it'll start going off really loud, and then we'll be able, and you'll rush over to there.
They only need to get 1.
Yeah. Ooh, first strike. What you doing? Fuck you, Zoro. Okay, so if someone's trying to spawn on you, try to take cover and then crouch down. It helps.
You're
helps
you're
spawn
pair,
them in
you're paired with
faster.
one other person. The one man you and me are together.
Always. Oh wait, no, never mind. I was with Yo-Yo last time. But
I have
that's for
no
everybody.
fucking health. Protect me,
Whoa, why?
Squire.
Who is shooting at me?
Everyone. They all hate you.
sometimes
Who's
teammates.
my teammate? I'm sorry, Iron.
Watch out, dog,
I
dog.
just keep fucking dying over here.
I finally died. I almost had a killing spree. Oh, there's a DMR right there.
Nope, not this one.
Oh, I got
Guys,
three
I
of
got
them over
3 on
here.
Alpha.
Hey, I got 2 over here on Bravo.
I got 2
on
of
Bravo.
them. One more in the back. He's one shot.
Yeah.
Push him,
Look
push him,
like
push
no
him.
one over here.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Guys, they're hitting Bravo.
We need to split the team 3 and 3.
Bravo's done. Bravo's good. Watch out.
I'll stay at Alpha. Trogdor's at Alpha.
Fuck. Grenade.
Me and Bravo. Me and one man are at Bravo. Oh, right here, Bravo.
I'm going for Alpha.
Damn needler rifle.
Bravo.
There we go.
Oh shit.
Whoa.
Ah, I got killed. He's one shot going towards Alpha.
Fuck. He's blowing up from grenades.
You guys keep going Bravo.
Yeah, we're sitting on Bravo here. Looks like you got 2 at Alpha.
Yeah, 3 of them at Alpha. Trying to hold it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, there's literally so many.
I got stuck.
They got it. Fuck.
Yep. I'm riding back. Are you?
I'll rock Spartan Laser. I'll take out their raid.
Alright.
Might get up on the hill.
Behind the rock?
Yep, behind the rock. Okay.
Anybody spy their raid?
Nope.
Yeah,
Nope, not yet. Hey, down the edge. Right in front of base.
Oh, right.
Raid.
Fuck,
Oh.
I fucked up. Raid's gone. Sorry, there you go. You can spawn now.
Oh shit. Yeah, beam
Hey,
rifle.
there's a needle rifle.
they're going.
Here, let's try to take that beam rifle out. Nope, shit. We got plasma grenaded. And pistol. Same time. Sucks.
Use those nades. Beautiful.
Nades are very handy.
Shit, no! It forced me out when I was trying to grab the sniper. Damn game.
I guess I'll rock shotgun. Not a rifle shotgun, but
Damn it.
we got one in our base.
2.
Never mind.
I'm going for Bravo and Alpha now.
Fucking Zoro.
I'm not Bravo. I got a shotty on Bravo.
I'm at Alpha.
Game, give me back my BR. Swear.
Alright, I just got off the phone with Spectrum. Apparently my modem is fucking is a faulty one. I gotta turn it in tomorrow.
That would explain it. Yeah, you're gonna be dropping a lot.
Yeah, I get a feeling it's just going to get worse and worse as it progresses.
How old is
Pretty
your Hey, enemy raid.
They got
enemy
another raid
in.
coming. I don't have a Spartan laser. I died. It should be respawned by now.
Where is
I
it?
will be right back.
Yeah,
Should
nailed
be
Left side.
second. Yeah, left spawn.
I got it.
I'm shooting. Wait, you died with the laser, or?
Yeah, he died with the laser. The laser's right underneath.
Damn it.
the wraith.
Alpha under attack.
Damn it! They got me.
1 minute remaining.
Got it.
Beautiful, good shit.
Nice. Whoa, what the
Front
hell?
lasers in Bravo.
Shit, I didn't even see him throw a grenade. Mike Tyson's up in our base. He's one shot
In our spawn or in the zones?
in the base. What happened to that shotgun? Oh, you got it.
Alpha under attack. 30 seconds remaining.
Shit! Should rock armor lock. I forgot about that. Thank you, sir.
I've been using this printing.
Bravo
I usually
under
don't
attack.
run armor
Damn it.
lock. But
Okay.
10
Fuck.
seconds
Bravo,
remaining.
Bravo. No shield, no
I'm
shield.
trying. I'm super slow.
Oh, fucking damn it. The moment I got there.
That
Did we
fucking
do it or
sniper.
did we not do it?
No.
No, we have to defend the
We
core
were,
now.
we were close.
So you see that flag? That you have to defend with your life.
Do not let them grab it.
I got a Banshee coming in.
Yep.
I'm sniping it. Banshee's almost dead. It's one shot. Good
Haha.
shit. Thank you.
Hey, we got a sword up there on the bottom. Watch out.
Got the guy in our
Grenade
base.
launcher for the win.
We got a guy getting on top of our base somehow. I
Yeah.
can't see him with my sniper.
Heads up. One of those guys has a sword. Watch out.
They got another wraith coming.
Those guys have me.
What? Point blank shot you.
Core stolen.
Oh, whoa.
Got him.
It's the red flag.
I got a tag.
Okay, Caboose.
Take out their wraith. Their wraith is on our right side.
I didn't put that together, but that's
I stunned
that's
the wraith.
funny.
I stunned it. Get it.
I think it's like almost one hit. Grenades for the win.
I'm grabbing the laser.
One man and I were on top. I don't know where.
Where the hell did my?
Oh, he's right
Well,
there.
that sucks.
Oh,
All I have is a
thought you
fucking
were
pistol.
counting it.
I have a pistol and an assault
Core
rifle.
reset.
That's all I got right now. Well, fuck me.
Oh,
You're
hell.
doomed.
Sword guys in our base.
We got two swords.
Sword guys, one shot. Beautiful. Good shit.
We have two swords in the base over the
We got a
bottom,
guy
me and
going
one
around
man.
left side of our base, far left. He's
Got him.
one shot.
Got double killed
No,
sword.
there's another guy. I didn't get the kill yet.
I got two. I got both swords who came in. One
Oh,
on the top
shit, I'm
row,
dead.
one on the bottom.
Oh,
I
we
was-
traded. Okay.
Damn, there was this blue glare in my face. I'm just like, what is that? Come to find out, there's a grenade attached to my face.
Giggity.
I guess that's one way to fucking find out.
Hey, we got two guys down below me. I'll let you know. You know it's up top here with me.
There's a guy on top of our base.
Thank you, whoever saved
Banshee's
me.
done.
Watch out.
1 minute remaining.
You got this.
God, all you gotta do is pick up a few of their
Wraith's
shorts.
behind the base. It's almost. Blew it up. It's done.
We got this.
I'm sitting on top of the bomb.
Overkill.
Oh, second level. Second level, sword guy.
Their ghost is down. I'm taking out 3 of their vehicles. They should have a. We should be good for a little bit.
They're really bad.
I'm just gonna hold this left side.
One out
Tanks
from
out.
the
30
base.
seconds remaining.
We got this. Just don't let them
We got
touch.
two in front of the base coming towards the front of the base.
Okay.
Yeah, this is where I've been putting the whole time.
We got that. Oh shit.
10 seconds remaining.
Oh,
Hey, Hey, one upstairs.
Oh, fuck.
Got him.
Damn it. My guy didn't lunge. My guy didn't lunge.
Spartans
There we go.
Sorry, I wasn't doing anything exciting there, Iron.
No, that was fun.
We won the round anyway.
Alright, now we play as elites.
invasion.
Fuck.
Offense.
I hate the elites.
I get to dodge.
I'm gonna be running assassin.
I like to roll. Rolling is fun.
Okay, so
I got
most
right.
of us should push. Okay, so we're going right.
One of them's not playing.
Yeah. That's
Oh.
fine. I mean, we pretty much just stopped them.
I know.
Skunk us now. I'm gonna go invis. You stay on that side, I'll stay on this side. Wow, they got me right on the. So
I got it down
close.
to 6. Damn it.
Must switch.
Fuck.
I was trying to spawn on you in time and it didn't work.
It's all good. Me and Iron will keep going for the 7. You guys keep pushing the left side.
Yep.
That way we have multiple options. We keep them separated.
We got 7 and an 8. 5, 4, 3. We won. Move on. Move.
Got it.
Rush it, rush it. If you got evade, rush.
Yep. I'm
Rush
going.
that right side.
I'm right behind. I'm right behind you,
I
man.
just spawned on you.
I got one man's behind me too.
Watch out, they're DMRing behind us. I know, I know. Okay, you guys attack that one. I'm gonna slide over to the other one.
I'm going left.
Yeah, one person has to get the other one. Another one just play distraction. Oh, one of their guys quit. Mike Tyson quit. No, not Tyson.
There's been a lot of people quitting on here lately
Guess people suck. I don't know.
Yeah.
Another one quit.
because they
They
some
rage,
bitches.
man.
They can't take the.
Another one just quit.
Do it!
Oh,
Raid.
3
Raid.
seconds.
Oh,
Damn it.
I went to go
So
back
close.
in and I got
Ooh,
blown up.
sniper.
Hey guys, heads up. Our wraith has already spawned back there, so we want to grab it.
I'll take it.
Their wraith. It's like, what?
I'll take the Wraith.
Oh shit, I'm gonna die here.
I'm gonna hang back in the Wraith and
Holy shit,
Drop
there's
hell on
so
the
many of
Wraiths.
them.
I know.
Almost all
yeah.
of them are on that right side. You guys can get to the other side.
you want me to push tank right side then? Never
No,
mind, I'm gonna stay
push
left.
bottom.
Oh, nice.
Just get the core.
Tank, so that way you
I
guys
mean,
have the-
It
yeah,
takes
grab
so
the
long to
left.
reset it that we can literally just grab it and run.
I say left, that's yeah.
Actually, you know what? Get the tank near the doors and then let whoever has the bomb get on the tank so you can get it back to the control factor. Go.
I'm right at the door already. I'm right
Okay.
here.
So go to the other side.
Other side, other side, other side.
Core dropped.
Come on, over here, over here.
Core taken.
Give him a hug. Oh, I blew up.
Oh shit.
I got.
What the hell?
Core taken.
Grab it. Get on the raid. Get on the raid.
Whoa.
Core
Rockets.
taken.
Raid.
I'm coming. I was making sure you reach it.
Go.
Remember that one ghost?
I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm literally. I
Okay,
can't
go.
move. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Holy hell.
We won.
Yeah.
Holy Hannah.
There we go.
Can't fucking wreck. Why quit at the end? You're literally losing out on so many points, dude. GG, boys. Told you. Fucking
That
told
wasn't
you.
too bad.
Nah.
I died like right at the entrance.
I blew up so many fucking vehicles though that game, dude. It was not even funny.
Huh.
I think I,
don't
blew a
wanna
bit.
know what my KDA was.
I think KDA doesn't really matter in Invasion.
Yeah.
ADA
4,500
always
match
matters.
complete bonus. 77,000
8,000
for
performance.
And 2,000 for teamwork.
3,000. for
Teamwork. My teamwork is 5,500.
Wow, I did better than
I did
thought.
actually pretty shit that game.
Yeah.
Hey, I went positive. Too.
Hey, I also went positive.
Huzzah!
Damn, y'all, hop up in my jam.
I was just rushing straight into fucking things.
God
Yeah,
dang.
that's
Edgeify got 39 kills. What Somebody got no assist too.
Fucking edgelord.
I got fucking 8 assists. No wonder I got 5,000 fucking.
I got an invite from an enemy team, I think. Oh, hey, did you? They updated the whole name system for Xbox now, so it's kind of like Discord. So I just fucking got an invite from someone called CCB 2005 hashtag 9735. Because if your name isn't original, you can still keep it, but you'll have a number at the end or some shit like that. But it won't show up normally. Like when the Xbox gets updated again, you won't see the hashtag and the number at the end. You'll only see the name you want, so you could be something like Steve.
Who you playing with? Steve.
Well, I mean, it would just say it would say Steve on everyone's game, but
Dude, that's kind of messed up because I could just change my gamer tag to fucking Yschlaw and just run
Two
around
of them
people
already
thinking I'm
quit,
Walshy.
guys. Oh my god.
I mean,
Okay,
they're just making it more like
this
PC.
is good enough. We can end this in one. We can end this in one phase. This
Not
match.
only that. Okay, so remember how he was saying you gotta carry a bomb to an objective in one of them?
Yeah.
This is one of them. Where you for the second phase you carry a bomb to a checkpoint. You let it blow up. You have to guard it while it blows
All right,
up
guys.
or while it
Hey,
counts down.
if we're on defense first, which I think we are because I see an assault rifle up in the top of my screen.
Yeah, that means we're on
Hey.
defense.
Yeah.
So, hey guys,
Red's
3
defense.
and 3 on each objective, and then always have one person on each squad willing to go over and do backup.
We can have.
No,
two
we should do
people
4 and
up
2
in
on
the
this map.
spawn,
It needs to be
because
4
they're
and
already
2.
at 4 people.
4 and 2.
They're down
Yeah,
by 2
because
people already.
nobody ever goes that right side, and everybody always goes that left side. The masses don't have a. If they don't have a strategist, they're not gonna.
They're so
shit.
close together.
We
Four-
can shut 'em down.
Guys.
Fucking
4 people go left side. 4 people go left side. I'm Chalkdoor's.
They're also so close together that you can stand closer to the middle if you have to.
Wait, we're also up by
Oh,
2
already?
people. We're already up by 2 people. They already lost 2. They're only at 4. Left side.
You take both the DMRs.
Okay.
Hey, we got 3 on this side.
Under
Left
attack.
side, dude. Couple more. Oh, hey, I'm hard up the frog door.
Alright. So whoever's partied up with me.
I'm a giant, I think.
Okay.
Hey, we
Marksman,
got one
you
up
wanna
on-
go?
one up on the hill, one up on the
Marksman,
hill
go
by the
left.
rock right there.
Me
Yeah,
and
one up
uh.
top, one up top, far back.
One
really
shot
far
down
right.
below.
Just get up there and fucking start spawn killing them. Just melee attacking them in their spawns.
Yeah.
We could.
Wait, how many are left? 4 of them? Okay, that's good.
Yeah, they're only at 4.
I just want to do the fucking assassination.
Hey,
Just
far right,
knife
far
him
right,
in
far
the neck.
right.
Oh crap.
I've done this so many times.
That's not hard to do.
I know,
Like
but it's
now.
just so much fun when it actually
Oh my god.
happens.
Shit.
Oh,
I
this
got
game is so
assassinated.
fucking nostalgic, I swear to god. Yeah, I'm gonna have to spawn.
To your left.
Don't worry about spawning on people, guys, since you just spawn right up on top here.
Right side, right side.
It'll make it easier for people to survive and make the spawns faster.
We only have one guy coming right side. Let's just rush him, dude.
He's about to get fucked.
Fucking run up there and just.
Oh, he fucking stuck me. I didn't even hear the stick. Yeah, I won't be surprised if another one of the guys quits.
Bravo under attack.
Okay.
Hey,
Going,
Bravo.
I'm going.
I got you.
Down.
I got him.
Fucking won't let me spawn anywhere.
Hell.
There we go.
Ah, ranked up Command Sergeant Major. Hail.
Oh shit, I'm dead. Dude, take cover.
They're hitting this left side hard right now.
Yeah, like I said, they always.
Yeah, they spawn closer to it,
never
so.
go right.
Oh shit.
mean, it makes sense. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever they can swarm faster works best for them. So
I mean, like I said, when you don't have people to strategize.
God, this fucking the Magnum is just the best thing to use right now. It's our fucking close range BR.
Damn it. Thank you for the assist.
This is just fucking horrible.
Wait, they're going right. They're going right.
Looks like they're dead though. It's okay.
They're gonna try to go right.
What was I being shot?
One shot. Thank you.
Shit, bravo. How are we all over at Alpha? Come on.
There we go. I was dead.
Okay, just spawn in the back there.
Triple kill!
Nice.
They don't have enough time to get A, so.
Now that's a lot.
But make sure that if they're in it when the timer goes off, they can still win it.
They will put into a sudden death.
They're not. We win.
Yeah!
Shut out. Now we just not. We have to.
Hell, I just got.
So you guys.
Oh, I just got an achievement there.
Skunked.
GG. See, I told you guys would get it.
And I just got the achievement we were talking about earlier.
No,
Yeah. Nah.
Invasion.
Now we're
it's I don't think it's push to talk, but I haven't been playing in game chat, so I wouldn't really know.
Everybody go.
I'm going
Okay,
around
you could,
just to
with that Banshee just floating there, wouldn't you think the UNSC would be trying to blow that fucking thing up? Like,
Nah, man. It's pretty. Ooh. What's
or
up,
like later when you get the
Bob?
fucking Scorpion, wouldn't you just shoot down their escape?
Fuck, I was in it. Almost had him.
Fuck.
Rolling down the left.
Damn Magnum.
My damn. You got this, dude.
Oh shit.
Guys, just frog, let's go.
You got it.
I'll
Oh,
protect
there
you.
you go.
I did not do very well. I got
almost got
plasma
it, almost
pistol.
got it. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, damn it. No!
If they get in it,
I got two.
there's 3 of them over on left side.
Fuck.
Guys, we're not getting shut down by 4 people right now.
I know.
Everybody,
Well, we're doing better than they did. That's for sure.
everybody rush left side. Everybody go left.
I
Everybody.
know, I know.
We only need one person in the objective.
What the fuck? I missed that.
Got it.
There we go.
high hail.
Okay, just grab that bomb and run.
Alright, now this is where we have to grab the bomb.
Just grab it as fast as you can here.
I got it. We're going left
Yep.
side with it, right?
Yeah.
Mark, damn it, you suck. You took my kill.
Here, drop down here. Drop down here.
For life.
I'm trying to save you.
I'm almost there. Everybody come to left. Everybody
I'm
left.
right behind you. I'm right behind you.
Alright, you don't have to stand in the blue. Hey,
Board
our
off.
race should be coming up. Someone,
Shit.
next person who dies, check spawn.
Shit, I didn't mean to.
We could use that.
I thought he was. When I threw the grenade, he was still kind of in it. So I was just trying to blow him up. 3, 2, 1.
Alright, you take Wraith.
We go.
Nice.
Okay, let me jump on.
Alright, we're coming with the Wraith and Ghost.
Okay, let's get all the way over there.
Anybody who dies and respawns, make sure you die with a drop shield.
Hey, hey. Make sure you're ready to get latched.
Core taken.
Don't try and spawn on me. You're not gonna spawn.
Oh, I got a Banshee. I got a Banshee spawn.
Here, I'm gonna. Here, keep blocking it.
Whoever, somebody pick bomb and hop on top of the
I'm
ridge.
going, I'm going. Oh shit.
Alright, Ghost is down. I killed 2 of them.
Here, here, turn that fucker around. Turn that fucker around. Oh shit.
Wait,
Slid off.
spawn
Okay.
here. What the
Oh
fuck?
shit.
Thank you.
I'm gonna hide for a second. I'm sorry.
Oh no. They're gonna get me stunned. Let's
Go,
go.
go, 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 go.
Are
Oh
we,
fuck.
We have the core. Where is it?
Why do they keep doing that? Okay.
Oh wait, what the fuck? I tried to grab the core. It wouldn't let
I
me.
accidentally picked up a weapon last time I grabbed it. Okay, I'm grabbing a ghost. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm going. Wait, no. I'm trying to spawn a sentry so I can pop the bubbles.
Oh shit. God damn it. God damn it.
I'm surprised they're not taking their falcon. out. Did we blow up their falcon?
I don't remember seeing it.
Core dropped.
They got a rocket warthog now.
I was just gonna try to go as far as possible. Just like
Here, get it, get it, get it.
so much.
It's almost dead.
Fuck. They have our banshee.
Keep using those sentry bubbles. Keep using the sentry bubbles to protect the carrier.
He keeps trying to run me over and I keep
Fucking banshee. Okay. Oh, they're returning it. Let's run.
Keep going. Fuck.
I got the thing. Damn it. I keep picking up gun. I don't know why weapons take priority over objective pieces. Like, what the fuck? Behind us.
Onward, Squire.
Well, you guys should be grabbing this. I mean, we're all right next to it. We only need to get a couple feet. We just keep picking up and making it as far as we can.
Taken.
You got
There
it.
we go.
You got it.
Oh no!
Oh,
I got it.
there we go.
Taken. 1 minute remaining.
That's what I'm talking about, son. G fucking G.
Kind of helps when they're.
Yeah.
That does. Gotta feel bad. I wonder why their 2 people quit. Did they see that we were like it was
Lagged out or
from the last
something?
game,
Who knows?
guarantee you.
I was getting lagged or something.
Nah, let's
wonder-
go with they know us and
I'm gonna say they're
They
people from the last
fear
game.
us.
Performance 7,250. Not
Man, I
bad.
got 2,000 for performance. What the fuck?
I got
2,000 for
500
teamwork.
for phone.
That's 17.
You gotta get,
Chief Warrant Officer, let's go.
gotta just get more kills and shit, I guess.
very nice.
Like I said, it goes so it goes off your kills, your assists, and then like if you're at the top of your team or not, and then how long the game goes. Just keep that in mind. So assists are a good thing, kills are a good thing, and being at the top of the leaderboard is the best.
I don't understand why I was at the bottom, even though I got the second most kills, the least amount of deaths,
Couldn't tell you.
third amount. Most
Check your
kills.
other stats.
Yeah, like-
Your average life was pretty good. Your KD spread was even the best.
I'm solid third place.
Couldn't tell
Damn
you.
it.
I was minus 9. I
Could
was
not
6
tell
and
you.
15.
How many points do I need? Oh my god. I need, what is that?
Too much.
500,000.
I need 80,000 to get to my next level.
What level are you?
So that's
I'm
like
Chief.
8 games.
I'm Chief Warrant Officer. Yeah, I'm a Chief Warrant Officer.
I'm Command Sergeant Major.
I'm Commander Shepard.
First sergeant.
Oh, pull it out.
Traitor!
So, how far are you guys in your season pass rewards? I'm
on the second
close to
page.
unlocking. I'm almost on tier 20.
I'm gonna be unlocking tier 14 next.
Yeah,
I'm on
I'm on tier 19.
I'm on
Tier 20
17.
is my next one.
So you get June.
Hell yeah. I just unlocked the ODST helmet. I'm gonna put that shit on. Goodbye, Recon. Hello, ODST.
Sticking with the default helmet, just got all the variants.
Oh, I'm gonna stick with the base ODST.
I've been using, I think it's the military police helmet.
I ran the entire campaign with a friend of mine the other night using that, and he's in the army. He's like, "You look gay as."
I haven't.
HDMPs.
I have yet to.
Yeah, it looks like a
To
giant
do the
penis.
campaign yet. Oh, I got a new chess piece too. When the fuck did that
This
happen?
weekend, me and a couple of friends gonna run it on Legendary.
I feel
I'll be
bad
doing that
for you.
Probably later tonight. It's not
Let me
that
know.
We're all gonna
Hey, let me
die.
know
I've,
who's
I've
down for a
done 3
lasso
and 4.
run.
I want to do a lasso run, but I'd rather complete the campaign in under 3 hours to get that sick ass fucking thing.
That's what we're
Same.
gonna go for. What's the maximum amount of people you can have in the campaign?
4.
Depends
2.
on Halo.
Is it 4? I thought it was 2.
It's 4.
It depends on the Halo.
What sick ass thing are we
Halo
talking
3
about?
And Halo 2
The
are
fucking
both
emblem for completing it under 3 hours. It's fucking looks.
Only 1 and
amazing.
2 only can
Yeah,
play
it
2.
does, remember
It
Reach.
depends on which Halo you guys are playing. Because Halo 1 and 2 are both 2 people, 3, 4 Reach, and ODST are 4.
But we
And
don't count
5.
that one.
And
Actually,
5,
I've
no,
played
5,
with 3
Yeah, but we
people.
get both
We don't
On
talk, we
Halo
don't
1.
speak of 5 though.
Why? 5 wasn't even that bad.
5.
It's short as fuck, and we still had to pay the full price.
It's bullshit. They murdered Halo.
Oh damn! I touched a fucking nerve.
Oh, are
I
we
have
supposed
no
to
problem with 5.
attack?
Oh, we're defending. Whoops.
Okay.
We're defending. Fucking A, I died.
Victor ever had
this
5
Bravo
hit
under
Master Chief
attack.
Collection?
Yar har har.
I'm on
A
your
yo
side, bro.
her and a yo ho ho.
Yo ho ho and a bottle, bro.
Yes! Why is
Pass
the
me the bottle, sir.
But wait, but I'm gone.
The rum's always gone. I thought you knew this.
Gotta fucking drink it all.
Come on guys, let's shut him down.
Oh shit. A line rifle up on the hill here.
Don't worry, I'll let you
It won't let me.
right now.
It won't let me get
It's gonna push
off
me.
of you for some reason.
Alpha under
Annoyingly.
attack.
Oh shit, I got stuck! Motherfucker. What objective? Hey, okay, we are
Alpha under attack.
Wow.
Get to Alpha. Everybody push Alpha.
Damn it.
Get those dicks wet.
Bravo under attack.
Just punches him.
Stay on Alpha.
It's 3 and Bravo.
We're so close to each other, it doesn't matter on this map.
One coming this one right now.
Hey, are we utilizing the DMRs though?
No idea.
Whenever I find one.
They're on the back of that.
Ask me again if they turn into a BR.
Hey, we got a needle rifler on the hilltop.
We got a needle rifle on the left side as well.
Fuck. You got two elites on you. I'm gonna spawn back here.
Bravo under attack.
Damn it!
Grenade in
Two
the
on that left side. Watch that left side. Beautiful. Look at that needle rifle.
Bravo.
Alpha
Oh.
under attack.
I got. He is so fucking accurate. That
Fuck.
fucking needle rifle.
We got it.
Shit.
Behind you.
That's alright. I'm not worried about it. I want to die so I can respawn.
Shit.
We even use those guns.
Damn it.
I wish.
Oh, I got a warthog.
I got 2 people on right side.
Bravo under attack.
Never mind. Warthog,
Double kill.
You didn't even stick me! shotgun on my X.
Shotgun.
Okay. Use it and protect Bravo.
Left side or the left side or right?
Shit,
That's
out of
left
ammo. I
side,
thought I
that's
had
left
more.
side.
Oh fuck.
We
Okay,
got
well, that's
two
not
on
good.
Alpha.
There's a red
There's one in the Revenant in Alpha. That's your three in Alpha.
Ooh. Shit, they got a beam rifle. Beam rifle is on,
Fuck.
On left. And they got a
Alpha
guy
under attack.
sniping in our fucking spawn. Got him.
Bravo under attack.
Damn it. There's a guy
I'm
on
running
Bravo,
over
let's
there.
get him. And they got a guy with a beam.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's
so good.
That just surprised me. I'm rushing B. I'm
Alpha
rushing that.
under
God damn it. Okay.
I got the beam rifle.
Alpha under attack.
Okay, okay.
Fuck, that was better.
Just protect the core.
Fuck,
guy.
I'm just gonna get a bubble out and I'm gonna wait for him to come over here with a fucking energy sword and
There's no need for
Yeah,
us
we
to
got-
push.
we got one
We can camp it out.
damn it.
Wow, fucking cuck with a beam rifle.
Coming out with a tank right now. I'm gonna take out this banshee first before they notice me.
dude in the main
Banshee's
room.
down.
Sword.
I'm pulling out
He's
the.
got a hollow, he's got a
Core
hollow.
stolen.
Shit. Yeah, I
Please
fell
watch out.
for the
Core
hollow.
dropped.
Fuck, there's two guys in there, two guys in the middle.
Let's try to take these guys out right here.
Coming.
Fuck, behind you, look out.
Yeah, I'm dead. I lost laser. Fuck.
Core stolen.
Dang it. The guy.
Trying to keep some distance so that we don't get flanked here.
Trying to spawn a player. There we go.
Core dropped.
Got it.
Just stand on it. Stand on
Yeah, they're probably gonna come with a wraith soon.
it. The more people that stand on it,
Banshee.
It's fine.
Killing spree.
There's laser right there in front of you.
Wraith?
Dog door.
Hey, we're being snuck up on.
Yep.
Left side. Tank, left side.
I know, I'm looking.
Watch behind you, watch
Hiding in
behind
there. Come on.
just don't let them touch it.
There we go.
Core stolen.
Shit.
Core dropped.
Oh, he fucking teleported on me.
you. No, okay.
You fucking get him? Good. Good shit.
I'm in.
I don't have armor lock, so I can't stay on it as much. You just. Oh, they fucking
Core
got it.
stolen.
No, I didn't.
Core dropped.
Why are we
God damn it.
on the left side?
Core stolen.
Fuck these guys.
Core dropped.
They're about to lose this tank, but at the very least, I'm taking them all out.
I thought you said we.
About to.
Going for Revenant.
Ow!
Fuck. Damn it. I didn't get the banshee.
Get fucked.
But, okay.
Banshee's down.
I did fucking work with that tank, though.
I was able to send it back to
Course
a
reset.
spot.
Tell you one thing, that fucking tank does work.
Hey, we have 2 Spartan lasers here.
Fuck.
Hey,
Dang it.
1 minute
Slipped right on
remaining.
me.
Remember, guys.
I know,
we
I
gotta
know.
push.
hey, if someone gets a sword or a shotgun,
How the hell?
I can
just
throw
got one
I
shot.
can throw a shield down here, so
Okay.
he's coming up from behind us.
Up top, up
Just
top,
careful,
up.
because that
Well, I know,
could
I
be
know.
against us as well.
I'm just saying, if they push on you when you have a shotgun, they can't lunge through this thing, through it as well. So
30 seconds remaining.
They're not gonna make it. I'm sitting right on their fucking thing with the shotgun.
Yeah, no, your
Oh,
bubble
never
worked
mind.
against you there.
They got our warthog.
I don't need this. I don't need this.
So, oh shit.
They
You
pushed
like
us.
walked right onto that.
Give them that. They pushed us hard.
I know. I walked right. I thought I had that You're good.
GG, boys. Now we
Don't
just
worry,
gotta
Oh, you didn't boot me last time anyway. I'm just saying. I never.
I know.
That was the first time I betrayed anyone so far since I started playing.
Alright, Trogdor's going right side.
Same, right behind you.
Just gonna push this.
Assassinate the trade up.
Don't do that yet. I mean, there's already someone right here.
Fucking lag.
Oh, fuck.
Trying to get you to spawn.
I know.
Enemies nearby. I can't spawn. I need to spawn back here.
Fuck. I didn't know there was a guy behind me. I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, damn it. It's gonna tell me I can't stand up here. Damn game. What? There we go. Give me that fucking assault rifle. Here, I'm actually gonna. Oh shit, they're behind us.
We're making our way into the
Shit.
tunnel.
I got fucking beat down.
Shit, watch out, they're coming up behind you. Just keep staying.
Yeah.
Keep the counters going.
Damn it! Oh. Have one down.
I'm pushing right side.
I'm spawning right on. I'm right underneath you.
Damn it.
Ah, ha ha ha. Right side down to 8.
Left side's
Left side's going down. Push left side. Everybody push left. How the fuck?
They hugged you with violence.
Dang it, I was there.
Good shit.
Hey,
Oh, I did it. Damn it.
Woo! So many assists.
We only had one guy left out.
Literally just lobbing nades into the.
we're good. We got this.
People go in.
Oh, what?
Getting headshots
Dude,
with days and stuff.
we were in there for so long. Okay, we got that. Oh no, there we go.
Oh shit.
Just rush.
Shit, player. Good shit.
Ah, damn it.
Don't matter what side you go to.
I'm gonna wait on the raid. I'm gonna wait on the raid, guys.
I'm gonna try to push right side. Bravo. Oh.
Hey, that Spartan laser spawns on that right side, so watch for that.
Okay, hey, I'm just gonna let you spawn here for a second. Just keep running right in there. And
Fuck, I got 2 on me.
Is there no raid?
not yet.
There should be one coming soon.
Oh, okay. I guess it's a remnant then, because I got a remnant.
Oh yeah, it's a remnant, not a raid.
Crow, jump down. They're gonna spawn behind you.
Nice.
Behind you.
Hey, Warthog.
Told ya.
Warthog. Warthog.
Here, I'll let you spawn.
They really is camping the coastline spawn.
God damn it. They got the fucking remnant.
Haha, I captured it.
They have remnant.
Shit,
Careful.
sniper. I'm gonna blow up the remnant if you don't mind.
Fuck you, St. Hugh. St. Hugh is still camping our coastline spawn.
Let them. Remnant's ours.
Sweet.
There's a ghost over here.
Who's up?
Is that us and the Remnant?
Core
Yes.
taken.
Purple
Good
is
shit
down.
on that tank, Mark Smith. Good shit. Love you, big time.
Love you long time.
What the fuck?
Hey, if we can grab their core, we can have the
Error.
Remnant take the core guy.
Got rockets.
What? What? What do you mean it's not receiving enough fucking...
Hey, whoever's in the Banshee, come back and take out this guy who's camping our fucking spawn. I can't even get near the base to get him back here.
Yeah, I'm coming. Ooh, almost stuck me, dude.
Alright, I'm coming for the bomb.
Oh, wow.
Fuck.
I didn't see you there.
Got him.
I'm almost dead.
Fuck, I'm dead. Banshee's down. Fuck.
Oh, they...
We need to push. We need
Dude,
to
how
push.
do they not have
We
their
have 2
tank
minutes
yet?
left.
Jesus. Oh, tank spawned. Tank spawned.
They did
Tank
have
spawned
the tank.
again.
Marksman took it out.
Damn. They got me.
How the hell do you have rockets? I didn't even know there were rockets here.
Okay.
There's rockets behind one of the steel doors.
I'm camping tank spawn really quickly here. So I can steal it if they come out with it quick.
Core dropped.
They're fucking...
No.
Shit.
Fuck. Core's outside. Core's outside.
Core taken.
Dang it, just as I grabbed it, they shot me in the face.
As long as we just keep grabbing it and moving it. Just keep moving the chains.
Let's go, let's
We're already doing better than they were.
Not the rocket launcher.
Core taken.
It wouldn't let me grab it.
Fuck.
Core dropped.
I hit the wrong button.
1 minute remaining. Core taken.
Fucking... goddamn it.
Core
I
dropped.
threw it.
Core taken.
We're losing Banshee.
Yep.
No, we're not. Good shit. They blew up the Banshee. Oh, that was close. I'm coming with the Remnant right now.
I'm looking at wait. Right here,
No,
right
grab the ghost. Grab the ghost. Grab
Core
the ghost.
dropped.
Why haven't they grabbed their tank yet?
Core
What are they
taken.
doing?
30 seconds remaining.
I'm coming. Grab it and get in.
Sorry,
Core taken. Core dropped.
Hey, I got
Fuck,
close.
no one has it. Someone just pick it up.
Somebody
No
has
matter who it is, what it is, just jump out and grab it.
in
As long as we have it when the timer goes down, we should get a sudden death.
8, 7, 6.
Leaving the Remnant.
Core
There we go.
sudden death.
God damn it.
I'll grab
Throw
it.
your grenades. Nade 'em.
Oh, it's
Oh.
almost there.
No!
I was able to chuck it when I died.
It picked up a fucking gun. I hate it. Why the fuck does the game prioritize fucking weapons over objective?
I should have stayed in the ghost and let you pick up the bomb trog. You could have ridden on my ghost.
We would have won.
Ah,
But-
my bad.
Whoever
If it
got
wasn't for that
Remnant,
No, we-
would've
I would have,
Yeah.
if the game would have, okay, I literally just picked it up and walked in right at the last minute, but the problem was is that when I pushed the button to pick it up, it picked up a fucking gun instead of the damn thing. It does that every time. It should prioritize objective over weapon.
Sorcery is this?
Oh shit! I got 20,000 XP for that match.
I'd be like, what sorcery is this?
I am calm. What sorcery
Fuck.
is this?
That tank really did wonders, though. What the fuck?
Back out once we load the players in.
I'm trying.
My internet dropped for like half a fucking second there.
Spamming my B button.
Keep doing it. Give it in 1 sec once it loads
Fuck,
the lobby.
just
it'll
back,
give us
hey,
back
guys,
up.
just back out the dashboard.
Yeah, just put
The fuck was that all about? Blame you, fucking Charter. Charter Spectrum, whatever.
Charter?
It's technically Charter
Spectrum now,
Spectrum.
Get right.
Charter and Charter and Spectrum
was
are the same thing.
It was a internet company, and Time Warner Cable bought them, and then when Time Warner bought Charter, they merged together and they rebranded the company. Instead of Time Warner, they changed it
Yeah.
to Spectrum.
Oh, they fucking.
Well, I have Comcast, so.
Yeah, well,
I
same
don't
here.
worry
I
about
have
that.
Comcast here in Chicago, but when I was living up at college, I started off college with Time Warner, and chartered my phone bill. But in my sophomore junior year, the companies bought each other. One of the companies bought each other and merged and rebranded to Spectrum when I moved into my apartment.
As much as people shit on Comcast, I've never had an issue.
I usually don't have issues with Comcast.
Bro, you don't have issues with Comcast until you have gigabit fiber. Holy shit.
Is fiber
Yeah,
bad?
what? Oh, wait, we just picked up another one. Marksman, where'd you go?
I'm joining.
Wait, we have 7 again now.
Fuck.
Here, I'm going to go out for a smoke. Whoever joined can play.
Wait, who's going out for smoke?
Marksman.
Okay.
Alright, we're good though.
We can do a 8v8
Sounds good to me.
after.
We could do
when
big
Marksman's
team. Why
done.
don't we do big team? Because then I can get Teal in here.
Here. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
rejoin then. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, Marksman, just join back in. We'll get another person in here. We'll do 8v8 big team battle.
Yeah. What? I'm a fucking moron. I got this. Wait 1 second. I gotta bring session with me. Social.
Yeah, don't leave us.
We want 8v8, and we want only reach.
Yep.
We want snipers. We want team action track. We want assists. We want We want fucking everything.
Hell,
Oh lord,
we
we're
don't
all
want
going to
snipers.
die.
We don't want snipers.
This
We
I
all
want.
I'm-
Fuck
we're gonna
snipers.
die. We're gonna die, Charlie.
Big
I fucking
team
suck at
snipers.
snipers.
Big team snipers.
No, fuck big team snipers. Big team SWAT. Big team SWAT.
Fuck that.
That'd be fucking awesome.
Dude, I love DMR.
Dude, fuck it. No, fuck. DRs are better for SWAT. I love DRs. I hate DMRs. But then again, on Halo 4, I played with nothing but pistol for SWAT.
Okay, so
Pistol
Teal
for SWAT.
said he's with his brother, so that would give us 9. So we can't have Teal join us. So we need one more. Does anybody else have one person online?
Then check if Phoenix got on. Marksman, have you seen if Phoenix got on?
I'm outside.
Phoenix isn't on yet, so I don't know if I have anybody else.
Yeah, I
Let me
don't
see.
either.
I can get
Hold
my
on,
boy
I'm
Irish
sending
in
out
here
invites.
if he's at his console.
Fuck.
Yes,
Ooh, actually, hold on.
the biggest shit.
If
fucker on
if
the
not, we
planet.
can just go in with 7 and have one rando. It's not going to be the end
Yeah,
of the world with him.
Irish is
I
on his
might have
console.
somebody.
Yeah, but he's probably taking a shower or something. He probably just got back from training.
I might have one guy.
All right.
No guarantees, but
Hey, I'll wait a minute. I want to check out some stuff.
La 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 la.
Yeah, we got this. I don't know.
Let me know when we're loading in.
Hell, 2 of our
We're waiting
characters
on,
are sleeping according to this. What the fuck?
yeah.
I hate that they added
So I
that.
just sent him a message, seeing if he can join.
I'll give him. We'll give him 2 minutes. So 4:47.
Okay, it's time. Start it.
Shut up. Marksman, I'm just gonna start spamming Wise Phoenix with an invite.
Do it.
He responded.
Snowballs.
If he doesn't, I might have somebody if they're willing to join.
Yeah, my buddy is still at work.
I might have Fotis. Fotis Chaos might join. I don't know.
The people I have are all playing campaign.
This guy was in Forge. It says he's trying to find a game, so I'm trying to invite him, see if he'll join. He's really good too.
Who, Irish?
No, Fotis Chaos. I was playing with him
Oh.
in the beta. He outperformed
Shit.
me every fucking game at least.
Yeah, well hell, whenever we get Irish on, he just cusses out everyone and drinks until he starts playing better.
I think I've played with Irish before. Oh, there's Fotis.
That mug
Let's see,
is a
send me a
prick.
message.
That was the guy I ran the campaign with. We're gonna run Legendary this weekend.
I'm not going to claim that I'm good at anything. I just do it for the bullshit.
There you go.
I just sent Wise Phoenix a message in case he's disappearing offline, Marston. See if he responds.
Let me see.
What's up?
I think I got one. Hold on a sec. I think I just spotted someone.
Sure.
I just got a message from Fotis. Never mind, he's not able to join. He's playing with friends right now. Fuck.
Alright, give me
I
one
guess we
second.
I guess we could just pick up a rando.
Yeah.
You can pick up a random for a start, but give me 1 second. I gotta run like something. 30 seconds.
Alright.
Yo-yo and player, move your controllers before you leave.
La 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 la.
I think I missed player before he left.
Damn.
Now we're stuck here because of him.
Damn it.
Why are you... well, I guess we're not doing invasion no more. I'm gonna change my emblem now. What do I want to change it to?
I'm experimenting with stuff, trying to change my emblem.
Let's see what I
See, the thing is, I don't want to use something that everybody...
That's why I'm a fucking whale.
Well, I got stuff that nobody else has. I'm an
No one uses a whale.
I mean, I had... Wait, why don't I have... Oh, I do have the assassin one.
Damn it! I gotta change mine now.
I got
Do you guys
something
have the
no one else
firefight
has.
one? What?
I might. I'm not sure yet. Let me take a look. Yep, I got the firefight one.
Keep it clean.
And I also
platinum.
got Emil. I'll keep mine Emil.
Yo-yo, I have that one.
Oh.
I'm literally out of the player IDs. I'm only missing 50. Not even. I think I'm missing like 30 or 40. Let me double check.
I gotta go back and play some fucking Halo.
Yeah. I have 157 unlocked out of 190.
1 sec, let me see something here.
Bronze
I
lasso.
think if I go...
I don't have any lassos, so you'll beat me there.
Ha! Bronze
think-
lasso.
I think I have like maybe one lasso. Let me take a look.
I mean, hey, if we were on PC, I have about 20 people playing it on fucking Steam, but...
Yeah, apparently this is the most popular game on Steam right
I
now,
mean,
which
come
doesn't
on, it's
surprise me.
the first new Halo on the fucking platform in over a decade.
What?
Ah,
almost
Halo
like
2 is on
years.
PC. Yeah, but it's been like
Halo
a
2 was
decade.
on, yeah, was it
Halo
on
2
Steam?
was on PC, but not Steam, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't on Steam. I don't think any Halo has been on Steam other than
Halo Wars,
which
I
we're not
think
counting.
Final Strike is on there,
Yeah.
but I mean, those aren't a numbered game. And hey, come on. The first fucking Halo Wars was
Those are-
the shit when it first came out.
Technically,
It wasn't like
Reach is not
Halo,
numbered.
but it was pretty good.
Nah, Reach is a prequel.
Alright. I'm back. What's wrong?
Yeah, we were waiting on you to move your controller, or we would have started already.
Sorry. I had to bring up all the resets from my.
I have it.
I'm
I just
feeling well
didn't
with the
put it
move.
on.
Yes.
I have it as well.
I haven't done the campaign yet, so you'll beat
I
me
thought
for
we were
now.
all trying to rep the finishing in one.
Yeah, but we're not doing invasion no more, so why? Why even rep it?
Fair
Pe-
enough.
The only one I want to rep with
Uh.
other people is the fucking forklift one.
I tried to get that last night. It is so hard.
Enemy.
Do you have to run over a player with it?
The
No,
first
you don't
mission
run
has a
over
part where
someone
there's a
in campaign
forklift and a
with
bunch of grunts. Just go run them over.
Oh,
See, Irish last night, he tried to run over
Yeah.
a brute with it, and the brute flipped
The
it.
first mission, just before you go through that door that locks behind you, there's a forklift right there and a bunch of grunts and elites.
Yeah.
Yeah. I literally did that mission.
Floor it and go. I think I did it. I think I did it on the 360 version, but it is
I
so
did it on the 360
damn
one as well.
hard.
It is fucking hard. But I think you're right. The one mission where they have the big vault door that closes in the first mission. I
Yeah,
remember
they're
doing
weak
that on
enemies.
360.
There is a bunch of grunts and jackals.
Yeah.
Should.
And you can do it on easy, can't you?
Dude, I actually did an assassination on
Sounds
Jackal.
excessive.
It's the nice thing
Well,
about the Master
this-
Chief Collection, unless it specifies difficulty, you can get every achievement on easy.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd rather do it on legendary though.
Big Team Slayer on great.
Oh god, I hate this
But
map.
who's our random? Christian
got-
Sahid.
Oh, big team on. I don't think I've done big team on Breakpoint. I've done fucking.
I've-
Dude,
I've
it is
only
a
played one
pain
game
in
of
the
game.
ass.
I've only played one game with Big Team, and it was the one we played
Are the
last night
vehicles-
with Yo-Yo, and Yo-Yo
are the vehicle
rage
spawns the
quitted
same as
halfway through the
Invasion?
game.
I have no idea.
There should be vehicles on Big Team.
well,
there
are they
are.
are they the same spawns though? Is what I'm saying. Like, do they spawn in the same locations?
That I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yes, yes they do.
International dibs
Okay.
on the Warthog gunner.
Falcon,
Sir,
I'm
Falcon.
driving.
I'm
Sure.
Russian Wraith, so bye.
Oh, we have guys right in front of us.
Wait, what? Oh shit, it comes through the gate, through the tunnel. Turn around, dude.
I
can't get through.
I'm happy.
Tag the leader.
Ah!
Forward double speed.
Hey,
Look at this guy.
Focus. Their Falcon's fucking me up.
Oh, another guy over here.
Guys,
Great.
Oh shit. Well,
That's it.
Oh, I'm down.
Wraith's down. now I'm sad.
Gain the lead.
Whoa.
Got it.
Back.
Oh wait, what the fuck am I doing?
Sacrificing herself.
I love you, but not that much.
Assassination!
switch over to this.
Where's the sniper on this map now?
Who's driving? Yo-Yo, are you driving?
Oh shit.
Oh shit. Ooh. No. I don't
They
think
got
so.
laser. Hey, careful, they have laser.
Got his ass. Oh
Watch
shit.
out.
What the hell?
I'm back on this, by the way.
I don't know.
Guy with
I
laser.
actually, you didn't even have to jump off because I actually fucking hijacked it right after he hijacked me.
Let me get that laser at. Let me get it. Let me get it.
I know, but I got him with
I hijacked it back like seconds after he hijacked me.
Oh, I know. Oh, by the way, over here on the northeast side, as soon as if you jump off the right
Oh.
side of this bridge here, there's a
Just gotta
sniper.
jump off a bridge. You have to make
Is
sure you
there?
die when you jump, though.
Yeah. Ah, fuck.
Oh, I see it. I'm going. I'm going
Okay.
for it. I see it. I have my jetpack, so I'm running
Fuck.
sniper and
These guys
Spartan.
just don't like you.
Oh, damn it, down. Get out of there. He's up on the high ground.
Gain the lead.
There's two of
Gain
them.
the lead.
Oh,
Are they in a warthog?
Lost the lead.
It's like a double barrel roll over in the fucking top.
Everyone just book
Move out of the way.
dude, I'm trying to kill
double
someone.
kill.
Get out of my way.
Lost the lead.
Where are they
Double
spawning,
kill.
boys?
Tied the lead.
In
They're dead.
the tunnel right now. Well, two of them are.
Lost
shit.
the
There
lead.
you go, one back. I got it.
Tied the leader.
There we go. Oh shit.
Gained the lead.
Almost. Whoa, rocket.
Gained the lead.
Rockets down.
I'm down. Senpai, no.
They're spawning in the building and on the building, guys. Careful.
Fuck. Oh, these spawns suck.
On last night.
I've been on since 3 a.m.
Dude, you were murdering me last night in one of the batches.
Who is that? Who's talking?
Robin Hood.
If I was, I do apologize. I mean,
I was just like, how the fuck is he getting all these kills?
I just play. I'm a tryhard. I'm sweaty.
Oh,
I don't know what else to tell you.
sniper's down. Dibs.
I still have my sniper. I got 2 shots left in it.
Headshot. Oh, damn, I'm down.
Oh shit. Hey, they're spawning our spawn. They're spawning our spawn.
Damn it.
They got the
I
sniper
keep
rifle.
turning around to shoot other directions and they just keep popping up.
I lasered their sniper and took the ammo. So
Good shit.
Falcon,
they're spawning our spawn. So I'm rushing their spawn.
let me
They're
get
going to be
Falcon.
taking the hill. They got a raid.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
hell.
What a fucking beta.
Marksman, get in.
Wait a minute.
Marksman, to your right, to your left.
Raid is down.
Huzzah.
Snipe them. Fuck yeah. If I can't use the raid, they can't fucking use the raid. End of fucking story, dude.
I'm not gonna be like Yo-Yo and fly through the fucking tunnel.
There's one on top of the mountain.
One on top.
3 in the tunnel. 3 in the tunnel.
He's right above me.
I don't
I'm in
see
the-
it.
Take out the Falcon, take out the
Oh
Falcon.
shit, he just jumped down.
Yeah.
In pursuit.
Oh,
Oh,
shit!
shit.
Triple kill with a fucking sniper. Let's go, bitches.
I'm having trouble with my teammates. Just having trouble with teammates.
Hey, I'm checking mountain. I don't see them. Are you sure they're still up there?
No, there was one up there earlier.
Alright,
I
I'm
was
not
right
seeing him. He
beneath
probably
in
was
the
looking for
cave.
me while I was
Oh,
sniping.
shit. Oh, grab hammer.
Oh shit. Ooh, peppering me. Peppering me hard.
Grabs one shot, goes to the cave.
I'm one shot. Oh
Uh,
fuck. I'm one shot. I can't
Strange
watch cave right
grenade
now.
launcher thing.
Ooh, I got my sharpshooter. Hell yeah, buddy.
Throwing a grenade.
I only got I got 2 snipes left.
Oh!
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Hey,
Yep.
is sniper up?
Um,
I can see a sniper up.
Well, it's down there if you want it.
If I have it.
RPG!
I appreciate it.
No, it's
I'll
fine.
give you
It's
the
just down
sniper
there.
laser if you
You're
wanna
good.
trade.
Somebody
Or-
take out that RPG. Dude, they're all coming from the cave.
It
Coming.
despawned somehow? Unless you were right here.
Dude, I have like no health or shield. How am I alive?
Wait, one
Oh.
man, turn around. One man, there's a raid.
Got him. Oh,
It's-
Get the raid.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
No.
See, I take care of you, bud.
Blair, they're all right
I'm
here.
taking the sniper, but no, I don't want to die. I'm on like a huge killing spree.
Oh,
I mean, I'd rather have a fucking,
Hey, I ain't no
I got you.
fucking
like,
player.
Scorpion, but I guess Wraith will do.
We're starting to spawn in where second spawns are.
Well, it was there, it just fucking despawned while I was fucking standing there. Like, I must have bumped it or something.
It happens.
oh shit.
Hey, right
I
up
see
That's
something
alright.
on the radar.
That's all right. I'm not worried
Oh,
about
there he
it.
is. Oh, motherfucker.
What? That hit him.
I got my
Oh,
beam
mother-
rifle. I still got a sniper. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I know it did. I don't understand.
Hey, are they running any vehicles, bro? Do you see anything?
Nope, no vehicle.
That's weird.
Hey,
Why aren't
We
they
tried to
running any
pull
vehicles?
Hey.
We tried to pull from south and you guys tried to leave. No idea.
I kind of want to.
Good kill.
I'm trying not to get that.
Over there where I can hit something.
'Cause I saw he had a plasma pistol.
Shit, I died.
Got him.
Laser on my X.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, no.
Fucking cocksucker.
Wait, what happened? Sorry.
They got a hammer.
Obliterated.
God damn it.
Hey, we spawned for the boys.
Fuck you.
Fuck. Hey, wait, Falcon. Falcon's up.
Shit. I was trying to take out the Falcon. The Falcon's injured big time.
Got it.
Good shit.
Hey, all
Wait,
the Falcons out.
Iron, come back. Pick me up.
Coming.
Me too, me too, me too. Wait for me. Oh, sorry. Okay, going around. Go, 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 go.
Alright, let me see what's going on here.
You
Oh,
gotta get the base one, I guess.
get your ass back here, bitch.
Damn it.
No. We lost Marksman.
I got him.
Oh, that's why. There was
So
a dude
many
in our
fucking
right
barrel
vehicle.
rolls, dude. Holy shit. Can
Do
you
a barrel roll.
Hey, stop team killing.
There he is.
Do a barrel roll.
To the tunnel.
Hey, lasers up again. I guess I'll take that.
Oh, RPG dibs.
That's all you
Just
look.
call it an RPG. Hey,
Took out the
I'm
ghost.
playing too much Call of Duty here lately. I'm sorry.
Oh, Falcon in the tunnel. Hijack it. Never mind.
Falcon in the tunnel. Hey, rocket launcher.
Wraith just
Drop
spawned
it.
right in front of me.
Yep. Somebody get the Wraith up and take out the Falcon. The Falcon's up.
On it. Oh, damn. We got me before I could launch my rocket.
Blew it up. Their Falcon's gone. I lasered it. Wraith is still up.
Oh.
I'm watching Wraith with laser and I have sniper.
Aha! Take that, you stupid duck.
I
Hey,
got
we
you,
need to
Robin.
get over to the other side. Get over to the other side. The Falcon's down.
Don't worry, Robin. I got you back.
Good shit. Oh, game
Woo!
over.
Game time! That's what I'm talking about. I got one kill. Let's go.
Kills, are you kidding me?
Yo. This is
I
how
mean,
we do
4
it.
kills, dude. 4. I'm just glad
Think
I
how
killed
many-
something.
Think how many assists you have, though, players.
But
Think how many
it's better
assists
to
you
get
have.
killed.
Maybe. Hey, you're thinking it's teamwork. You forget you level up through teamwork as well, so assists count big time.
True. I got 3,300 match completion
My
bonus.
dad really listening
I
to
got
things
eight
live in the
performance.
living
I
room.
got 8,000 for performance. I've never seen 8,000 for performance in fucking
4,000.
regular.
Sergeant Major.
I got
5,500.
I got 4,500 for teamwork too. God
I
damn.
got 4,000.
yeah.
I got 4
assists.
assists. I should have had way more than that.
Hey, Chogdor,
11
I'm
and
catching
13.
up.
You are catching up.
You got
I'm already
8
ha-
kills, but you only got a score of 4.
He must have killed himself like 4
I only need
times.
50,000
No.
to get to my next level.
Only 50,000.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
shooting everybody, accidentally betraying
I mean,
teammates.
yo, look how much you need to get to the next level. You need about 80k, dude.
Yeah.
So I don't
need,
plan on
like,
going to bed. I plan on staying up for over 24 hours. So just playing Halo Reach.
Yep, let's do it.
Well, I'll be right there with you.
I work
Hey,
all night,
I
so I'll be
mean,
playing too.
I got no responsibilities. I have 2 older dogs that don't.
He's got a coffee
I've-
drip IV.
I literally don't have a life. I'm an anime weeb. I read manga, watch anime, and play with my 2 big dogs who are both old and
I
don't like
work,
to play much anymore. So they
But
just
at my
sit all
work,
day.
I play video
I mean,
games and
what's
watch
wrong with being a
anime. Then I go home, I watch
Nothing.
anime and I play video
Weeb every
games.
day, dude.
Hang out with my daughter.
I'm gonna go Super Saiyan on y'all's asses. Gonna learn today as I can.
My daughter's asleep right now.
I'm gonna play with
She's like
your
laying on the
chi-chis.
floor next to me.
Oh lord.
Haha.
Cool. Anybody else got a major person we can add to the fire team? Yet?
No, we tried. We
No,
tried.
not yet.
Ooh! Hang on.
If Irish would answer my
My brother
fucking
just got on.
text, then yeah. But I think he's in the shower or some shit.
We are
My
fucking
brother just
wrecking
got
these.
him, but I don't know if he's gonna want him zone.
Yeah, you never know.
If he does, great. If not, oh well. I'm not worried about
We'll
it.
be able to hear him shit talk everyone.
No, he wouldn't be shit talking everyone. He'd be shit talking me. So
I was gonna say, is he better than Yo-Yo and me?
no.
Dude, well, it all depends on how much he's drank.
I want to know. 14 kills with a sniper rifle. I'm pretty happy about that.
That ain't bad at all.
Nah. I even got my sharpshooter. Almost got B the bullet. Almost got it. But I ran out of ammo.
I popo sitting down like a big boy. And I pee-pee standing up.
All right, Caboose.
Feel like I got awkwardly quiet after that.
Oh, trust me, it wasn't as weird as the poop conversation that me and Yo-Yo had last night. Trust me.
Yo, guys, we're literally
Yeah,
playing
bottle of ice
Invasion.
water.
That's what this is. It's Buddy Slayer. Who's my buddy?
I'll be your buddy.
Everybody,
I am
don't
my own
forget to grab
buddy.
your battle buddy. We're gonna get right into it. We're gonna fist them right in the ass.
Please don't put me
I-
to random. I don't want a random.
Oh my god, guys, we got
What'd
it.
you say?
Reduced. Okay, hold on. Can somebody tell me what the fuck the TU stands for in the beginning of all these?
I've been wondering that as well.
It's pretty much for like pro playlist shit.
That's what I thought.
Gross.
But big team's not ranked.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah, it is.
But this is it?
No, it's
yeah,
not.
there's a.
I was about to
hardcore-
say, don't
the big
fuck with
team?
me like that. Give me the rocket.
I need a driver.
Onward to glory.
Driver, drive me.
I'm grabbing a rocket launcher.
I need an
Lost
adult.
the lead.
I am an adult.
I need a bigger
He's like,
adult.
he's spawning on me.
Fuck your sniper. That sniper belongs to Trogdor.
I'm good. Drago, let me spawn on you.
Who's my buddy? Who's my battle buddy? I need to know my buddy.
Hey, Drago,
Player.
I got you.
Player, you're my buddy? Okay, you got this, player.
Trying to
I'ma
vent,
go-
it didn't work.
I'm gonna go camp in the back of my spawn because
Got
I'm a
him.
pussy.
If it works,
I just got shot in the crotch.
Don't be teasing me with
Full metal jackets.
Hey,
I'm stealing their warthog.
Go.
I am stealing their warthog.
Aha.
No, I died! I lost all my rocket ammo. I lost my slipper rifle. Boys and girls.
Do not let off of that gun. To the right, behind me.
Jojo has my sniper.
Dog door, calm down.
Jojo must die.
Jojo died. I will have my sniper. It is
feel like a
mine.
Oh shit, that was a terrible idea.
Jojo, you
Dog
are
door,
my
I'm on
bitch.
you.
Alright.
No, Jojo. You must
No!
Progress down.
Me and Jojo are just going back and forth. This is not okay.
Iron Giant, hold the line.
Great trying, but it keeps rolling.
Oh man, we
is
lost
dead.
our rando. He quit. What a bitch.
He's a total bitch. We have no
What?
room in this army for bitches.
Our random fucked us.
I literally said that.
You're into it.
Legacy. Come on. Come on, you like white on rice.
Damn it.
Oh my god, dude. Fuck you,
Oh, I got
Jojo.
2 kills. I thought I got an asshole to assist though.
I'm doing
Yeah, I've been getting nothing
Fire
but
in the hole.
assists ever since he teamed up with this big team.
Dude, I'm trying to respawn in. But it's not letting me. Everybody's in combat.
I know.
Area
one
not
man,
safe.
the best loadout.
Here we are.
Someone's trying to
I
spawn on
literally
me.
spawned,
Hi,
spawned
Big
in and
Mac.
almost died.
I believe.
In pursuit.
There's body behind us, guys.
We are getting spanked, boys.
Oh, not the fun way.
I mean, it could have been worse.
We're fine. Rush it.
So many of us have tried to spawn on
Hey, I just got something I never got before. Spawn free.
Oh, damn it.
That's probably not a good thing.
Oh, hey.
Took out their guy with rockets.
Behind you. Wait a minute. Aha!
Took out their guy on their. Ooh, good snipe. Fuck yeah. Whoever sniped that guy on the mongoose, you're fucking amazing and I love you.
Dirt guys up.
Legacy, I agree. We should totally be. I'd be
God
down for your.
damn it! Iron Man or one man, somebody just took my damn kill again. I'm seriously getting my every single one of my
Face
kills
can you
stolen.
eat?
Whoever's trying to spawn on me, here. There. Oh my. Ooh, I just got a spawn spree. Oh, that's because so many people spawned on
Yeah.
me. Okay.
Yeah.
Magic.
Damn it! Damn it!
Even the stream is not show. I got a snipper rifle. I'm a happy boy.
Got a snooper rifle.
I do.
Sniper rifle.
No!
Long distance.
I lost it. Sniper on my X.
Go away.
There's no
Go
like
away.
steps up from
Go
below.
away. Go.
Player, you punch.
I know.
The truth about machine guns is that they are loaded with high capacity.
Oh my god, that is
High
assassination.
capacity freedom.
I can't spawn in on anybody.
Teal just joined
Hello,
in.
Teal. How are you, Teal?
I just spawned and there was a dude
I
standing on
spawned in
top of
one
my
shot
head.
tonight. He's got one shot.
Teal, I'll
No.
Fuck, we're just stuck in.
join us, Teal. Is that why you're here?
I cannot spawn in at all.
Oh god. We were just all spawned there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
this.
mostly fucking us.
Fuck
It's
this.
Bloody Slayer spawn.
It's
Not a big
horrible.
fan. It's just weird. It's just fucking weird. We're not used to this. We're used to fucking invasion spawns.
No wonder why they're piled up all the time too.
You almost died.
You're just like poop. Our player, you're just shooting that one guy and you turn right and there's just a bunch of them.
Oh, someone's trying to spawn on me. Here you go.
They're just
There you go. Go to town, my babies.
I cannot spawn in at all.
Somebody
spawning
should
up.
just stay
Whoever's
behind
doing the
us.
worst, just
got this one on me.
I volunteer player.
Literally just give me the game right now.
Alright, I'm in.
Oh my god, that was so mean. I'm sorry, player.
Oh shit. Fail.
One on me.
Player's gonna have the
now.
most fucking teamwork.
Probably. They're all spawning at down ship.
oh, it's just me again.
Somebody drive this warthog so we can murder them.
You keep spawning.
Oh, to our right, right.
Ta-da. Oh shit. By the
Behind us. Oh shit.
I have so many assists.
Yeah, I'm dead.
Oh no. Oh, they stole the warthog and killed me.
Gain the lead.
He's gonna have so many fucking spawn sprees.
Accept freedom, damn it.
Gain the lead.
Oh, double kill.
Oh,
Shit.
fuck. Poor player. I feel so bad. He's gonna get
Honestly, I don't feel bad
Lost
No.
the
because
lead.
I'm still getting medals for
Tied
the
the
spawn
leader.
screens, but I'm also not contributing to their kill count.
You are gonna get
It's like
so
fucking
many
15,000 teamwork points. Okay, it looks like we're gonna play this game mode and only this game mode. And we're gonna have 3 people standing in the back.
You get a
Spawning Manjaro.
spawn screen.
Gain the lead.
Have at the fiend.
Hey, they're at our tunnel. At our tunnel. They just took out Pro. Avenge him.
Lost the lead. Tied the lead. Gain the lead.
Grenade spam. May it never change.
Spawn on me. You guys just keep away. Come.
Hey, what comes after spawn spree?
No clue. I think sponsors
Yeah, spawn stoppable. You know,
It's not safe, player. I can't
unspawnable. There you go.
Geronimo! Wait, where the fuck is everyone? Oh,
Hey.
shit.
Next time you die, you should use an invisibility. You should use a cloak.
Lost the lead.
No fucking joke.
Use a spawn.
Fuck, I'm dead. Run close.
I killed 2 of them. I killed 2 of them.
Fuck. Oh my god, we're so close, guys. Look at, we're only 4 points.
We actually made a huge comeback. We were down by 30 kills.
Tied the lead.
Got me a double kill. Single spawn
Two
deal.
more kills. Come on, guys. Come on.
Oh, fuck.
Oh god, there's a rocket!
Fuck.
Can't see what you can't hit.
I broke 20 kills.
Damn.
Alright, so real quick. Teal, are you joining us?
Yeah.
Alright. What happened to your brother?
We had played a couple invasion games, and I just wanted to take a break from invasion.
Okay,
so I
yeah.
just said I'm gonna join some.
Depending on how many points,
Alright.
depending on how many points player gets,
back
we
up.
should
We're
drop
gonna
it
pick up
off. Drop Buddy off of the list. I
I don't know how to drop Buddy off.
Oh,
this
God.
because I don't know. It's considered big.
Never
teams, so
mind.
I'd have put, I don't know what part.
I just want to know how many points you got.
I'm
Okay, so,
interested
okay.
too.
I have 3,300 match completion bonus points, 3,500 performance bonus for BFF co-pilot, and then 2,100 for teamwork. I only got 2,500 for teamwork.
got 4,000 for teamwork.
That's still more
Still,
points than I
for
thought I was
just
gonna get,
sitting
but
there, 2,500.
I got 4,000 for
Just
sitting
there, I
for
feel.
2,500,
teamwork,
yeah.
and I don't think I really did anything for teamwork.
But I got more. points.
All right, we're
for
backing out. We're
performance
picking up Mr. Teal.
bonus.
I
do
thought
it.
you were about to say Mr. T.
I mean, he
I'd
can
be
call
okay
Mr.
with
T
this
if he
too, I
wants.
mean.
Mr. T.
No.
How's my turquoise mother trucker?
All right, here you
I'm
go.
hungry. These
Wait, hold up.
nuts.
Does this mean we have to reset our fucking Halo reaches again? Now let's
Probably
pick it up
not.
another person.
I doubt it.
I don't
I
think
doubt
so.
it.
Well, if we have to, I'm just gonna say I told you so.
Dude, I
It's
got
a-
20
it's a-
fucking thousand from that last game for
I didn't-
like XP. That's
I
fucking
didn't
I'm about to
ridiculous.
get tier 16 rewards.
I'm really
I'm
close
on,
to tier
like,
20.
tier-
I need
I'm on
30k.
It's
Tier
not
50.
working.
It's
No.
not
One
working.
more time.
We don't already have 8, do we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, we have 7. Oh, we just lost someone.
No.
And they're back.
One man, did you accept my invite again?
I did.
Oh,
Teal, how long have you
God.
been on Halo? Have you closed out of it and come back recently?
Not really.
You might have to do that.
We had to do that earlier.
Halo Reach is getting finicky, yeah. We've had to reset our Halo like 3 or 4 times now. The lobbies to work.
Well, I only had to do it once since I've been here. So
I wish we could all
Yeah.
do a campaign with
mean-
this large of a group.
Right.
Trust me, someone's gonna mod fucking the PC version so that you can have like 16 fucking people. No, no.
I guarantee
Their
you
mod
one
support's
fucking
allowed on
band too.
PC. Like they completely allowed it. It's not official yet,
yeah, it is.
they have an unofficial they have an unofficial way of adding it straight from 343, but then they're making it more official, like adding it to the Steam store and everything else soon here. What they literally show you exactly how to bypass their anti-cheat to fucking enable mods and shit.
Can you not join Teal?
He's restarting his Halo still.
Oh, okay. I'll say if he can't, if it's still says.
Wait,
If he
where's
still
Teal?
can't rejoin, if he's still, we're waiting on him. He's restarting his Halo.
Or
If he
we,
still can't
I mean,
restart his-
before we were
restarts his
able to
Halo, I'll
join,
restart
the
mine.
issue before was that we need to
So-
restart. This time, yeah, we might need to just have a different host. He might just not be able to join you.
That's what we were having the issue with.
I can invite here. Just try
Alright.
this. There you go.
Alright.
Alright. I was
Well,
able
Oh
to,
no!
Oh shit,
Wait,
I'm
I'm
joining
Teal.
Teal.
No,
Yeah.
I'm going back to
Yeah,
Dog
yeah.
Door. Back to Dog Door.
I'm joining Teal. Or at least I'm trying to join Teal. It says join and play.
Every
Okay.
here, but Trog and
Then Tragdor can't connect to Teal, so we need someone else. Player, back out and invite everybody.
So
Okay.
we need.
Everybody, everybody
Alright.
reset.
No,
Yeah,
here,
I'll
I'll
back
do
out.
it.
I'll say everybody.
No, that
reset
it's
the
not.
Halo
That's
reset,
not
all
the
our
issue
resets
here.
right now, and then try
No,
again.
Yeah.
it's all good.
No, it's a network connection issue.
There we go. I'm with Yo-Yo. I joined
Alright,
Yo-Yo.
yeah, we're good.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Yep,
I'm in.
No, we're not.
Alright,
just
me and
missing
Teal
one
had
dude.
different emblems. We're good. I saw his
No,
emblem and I was like, ah,
We're
it's
missing
almost the same.
Marksman. Marksman, you coming?
Who are we missing?
Jesus.
Marksman.
Marksman.
I'm gonna change this so it says we're playing big team.
You guys
now,
can start it. I'm
though.
gonna grab a soda real quick. I'll be right back.
Alright, we're all set.
So we're doing big team.
Yeah.
We're doing like all the different ones, right?
All game modes
Yeah.
are on. All game modes on.
And we
that
should
you
do
can turn on.
infection later too.
Alright.
Wiggle, wiggle,
Yeah,
wiggle,
you
wiggle,
can
wiggle.
start.
Yeah.
Grab a
Everybody
snack while
wiggle
it's
your
loading.
controllers.
Yep.
Robin Hood. Wiggle.
Wiggle,
Yo.
wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Yeah. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yeah.
There it is.
There we
A
go.
Alright,
wee
I'll be
mo
right
whack,
back.
a wee mo whack, a wee mo whack. The lowest rank here, but it's sad because I've played probably the most so far, just not matchmaking. I mean, I streamed for fucking 7 hours the moment the game allowed me to play it, and then I played all day after that, and then I played all night, and I'm only this rank. Like,
Wait,
Sam,
Yo-Yo, are you streaming right now?
Yes, I am.
You wanna invite me to a co-stream and I'll co-stream?
Yeah. Here, how do I invite the co-stream? Oh, I just
Go to the party.
got it.
Invite everyone.
All
We all
right.
technically have Mixer profiles.
yeah, but I mean,
We can all stream.
I get way more people watching me on
I'm okay.
YouTube since I
need a
mean
computer just to stream it on
1,500
Facebook.
subscribers. It'll kind of help.
I was
Me
streaming
and-
on
me
Twitch,
and
but I
Player
wasn't getting shit
already
on Twitch.
co-streaming.
I just need you to invite me to the co-stream.
Fuck, I'll just I open up fucking Mixer and I'll like put screen caps of your guys' games in the corner of my game. Look at that, co-stream right there. You can? I mean, I do from ad revenue. You guys probably don't because you might not have that issue yet.
No, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the first time I've ever streamed.
Okay, what we got? What we got?
Bruh,
Let's
let
do
me grab
this.
a bench.
Include my audio. We take the Holy Land.
Oh, what?
Oh
Grab
wait,
that
there's a tank.
truck door. Oh, is there no banshee up here? There's not a banshee up here.
Oh
we
shit.
are out.
Oh, he jumped out. Dang.
Damn it.
Oh god! What is happening?
No!
So the tank is worthless now. It has no bullets.
So
Shit. Taking heavy fire.
Oh wow!
Somebody drop this
Where am I
out.
getting?
I need to get that goddamn
Oh,
scorpion.
that's where their tank is. Fuck.
The cannon's literally gone.
Yeah, I couldn't grab it.
Holy hell!
I guess there's no banshee.
Run us up, bitch.
Yeah.
Well, never mind. I'm staying in here.
There's a Spartan laser in the middle of the map now.
Where? Middle map?
He's got.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
sorry.
he something.
Please tell me it was on our team.
Nah, man.
Fire in the hole.
God, if I had that fucking scorpion, I'd have about 30 kills.
Oh no!
Hey.
If you keep shooting out the wheels, the tank will blow up faster.
Died.
Damn you. Wait a minute. I can still drop the tank. Just can't fire it.
Yeah.
Forward.
Thanks, gone.
Good shit.
Drop the broken tank. Their tank is down.
Go, Marshall, let me get it.
Is there no? So there's a laser and 2 tanks.
They got a guy in their building.
Yeah, I
that
just
little
seen
hut.
that. Yeah, he's dead. Oh shit. Center field. Jet
M20 behind you.
thing.
God, I missed.
Fucking- He's going for the sniper rifle. He's going for the
Go,
sniper.
go, get the
No.
Where's the
I'm
sniper
not
at?
letting you have that shit, you little bitch. Where the fuck he go? Oh.
Hey, one
He's
on
gone.
time.
Oh, grab him. Did.
So many assists. My kills keep getting stolen, huh?
Oh,
They
you're
got a
telling
guy
me this
camping
happened?
by their stairway. I can't
Probably
get a
should have
shot.
with cloak with the grab hammer.
I would have got one run personally.
I'm doing run
Yep.
right now. Oop. Hide right here. Go ahead, come on up here.
Sir,
Fucking
fucking
there
health
you
pack. I need a health pack.
Heads up, jetpack.
I don't have any ammo.
I'm dead. Fuck.
No!
Hey, hey.
Oh, damn it, he got me.
Rockethouse, can you get it? Hey, bro. Eat shit, motherfucker.
Lost my grab hammer.
Hey, spotting behind you on the stairs.
What?
I hit the front of this guy with one
Tie the
rocket
leader.
and didn't kill him.
I am doing so
Ah.
bad right now. I'll tell you what.
Not alone.
Trust me, you're not alone. Hey, we got another hog back.
Thank you for the assist.
What's up, Iron Jack?
Oh fuck, what did I?
Robin Hood.
Oh, get up,
The
hog it up.
motherfucker in front of you. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Let me touch you with my bullets.
Come here and give me a hug. It'll only hurt for a minute.
Sniper.
Oh, we're hugging. Oh,
Watch out.
wait. I knew there was somebody
There's a
behind.
sniper in the back next to where their tank blew up.
Oh, hello.
Good shit, yo yo.
You little communist.
Yay!
Just call him a little communist.
Yes. He's red.
You know what?
You a fascist
Fair. Fair. Hey, their guy with Spartan laser is moving towards the hut.
Oh, I see him. Oh, there he is. He's going behind the blockades. Right side.
Tanks are up.
I just wanted to scream about something
Oh,
everybody else
give
was
me-
yelling.
Holy
Our tank's not up.
Oh, that's our tank. I was wondering which
There it
shot.
is.
Sniped the dude out of the tank.
I'm in the tank.
There's no one in their tank.
Let me get a 30.
Trying to move to their
Give me the
tank.
gun. Give me the gun.
Let me get a 30 kill streak with the tank
I'm
again.
getting to their tank.
You're taking my kill.
Let me in. Aha.
Stay back, stay back. Don't rush with the tank, it'll just blow up. You want to stay towards the back.
There's Spartan
Oh,
lasers
wait, we
in
have
this
both
little hut.
tanks.
Spartan lasers in this little hut.
Alright, I got you.
Okay, try to spread out and try to watch spawns more, because that way you don't get spawned behind.
Ah, shit. That shot me out of the tank.
Dude, I'm shooting right at this guy. It's not hitting him.
Oh, he's behind the stairs.
Yeah, back up. Back out of their range.
Don't push it too much.
Oh shit, 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 shit. No, 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 no. Oh no. But, tank down.
Two of them are spawning right up there. So we have to tank, get those guys in their spawn.
God, I need to get a fucking tank again. Swear to God.
And assassination!
Killed 2 of them in the hut.
Infamous team, the best.
1 more in the hut.
Okay.
I missed him.
Nice.
Oh, 10 assassinations on players.
Got it.
Dope. Blowing up their rocket hog.
Oh, damn it.
They still got 1 in that hut. I
Yeah.
can't get it.
I can't get him either.
I'll rush in.
Guys, tank on the left side behind one of the crane stage.
Whoa! One coming up around the left towards the tank. You're about to be boarded.
I'm coming. I'm moving. Moving back. Backing up.
Whoa,
Backing
whoa,
up.
whoa,
Backing up.
no.
Sorry.
Hey, hey, you got rocket hog
It
back.
looks so
Rocket hog.
squishy.
We got rocket hog.
Ah, dude, come on. They got laser on my axe.
Good shit, good kill.
Watching laser on you.
Hey, what do you guys
I
got?
want
Down for rocket hog.
sniper to spawn, so I'm trying to get that.
Over 40.
Where is a sniper on this damn map anyways?
Hey, F4C. Down here.
Oh,
Robin. From below you.
coming down.
Good shit.
Gordon, go.
Wait, what?
Okay,
Oh,
sweet.
Fuck, I got sniped out of the tank.
Let me grab it.
Up for grabs, guys.
Destroy it. Destroy it. Destroy it.
I'm trying to. You gotta get me closer.
Oh shit.
Right in front of us. In front.
That did not work.
Okay, the last time I saw a warthog, it had 2 enemies in it, not teammates. Oh, that sucks.
Tank's gone.
Negative. I'll have fucking negative goddamn
Sorry, like. Hey, there's a guy on top of the building. He's in the long, that long like pipeway thing.
You just used me as a jump.
Yeah, we did.
One on my
I
axe.
will do what I want.
There's one sniper bullet on my axe.
This guy's no shield, and I just keep pelting him in the face, and it's not killing him. God, I need a frickin' needler rifle.
I love when you kill somebody by shooting them in the fucking foot. That's like the greatest feeling ever.
Come up top. Come up top.
Got one.
Oh, I blew up a warthog to kill a guy.
Woo, I got one more kill than last game.
I got 7.
Fuck.
I got 5.
I got 25.
Okay, yeah, but that's because you were sitting in a tank.
Bruh.
Okay?
I was playing with one hand the entire game while eating a turkey, chicken, and cheese sandwich.
I'm eating a Pop Tart.
Yo,
I got a Pop
literally
Tart and
made
I got
that
a
last
root
night, too.
beer.
I
So
did turkey and cheese.
I got a
bit
can of
barbecue.
SpaghettiOs.
I was about to make.
I
was
got
about
a
to make,
rock.
Chef Boyardee.
I have vodka and oatmeal.
Match completion.
Alright, let me see what I got. Please, let me rank up.
8,000 for performance.
I got 2,000 for performance.
37
Spectacular.
teamwork. I got more
30.
teamwork points that game than I did for the last buddy game
so
that we
close.
played.
I just got 4,000.
I accidentally skipped mine. I don't know what I got.
For teamwork?
Yeah.
Nice. I only
I
got
got
3,500.
6,500.
I only got 3,500.
I only got 3750.
No, that doesn't surprise me. I only got 2 assists. Teal over
Dude,
here with the
listen to
9
this. There's
assists. Fuck.
5 hours ago, well actually 16 hours ago,
5
there's
assists.
1,440, 44,000.2k people streaming Halo Master Chief Collection.
Yeah,
Doesn't surprise me.
yesterday I had over 400, I think, people on Twitch that were screaming free. Because I was literally just
Oh,
like
shit.
going down the list and kept
I
refreshing,
mean,
and then
Reach is on top of the player charts for Steam right now.
Oh
I wouldn't
yeah.
doubt it. For
All
Steam
these
or for
fucking
free?
Fortnite kids. Dude, a new Halo
Dude, I'm
game.
still seeing people hopping on Fortnite
Dude, okay,
and,
okay.
and Call
I
of
was-
Duty. Fuck
I
Bravo
had,
6. I want
had an
Noble
incident
6.
like that one time. And this has scarred me and has ruined my reputation for this next generation of kids. Because I went in with my ex-girlfriend to the Apple Store to get her iPhone fixed.
Oh, we're playing
And this
fucking
was around
heavy.
the time that fucking they put
Oh,
Apple
no.
put the Beatles on the iTunes Store for free. And these two little girls who couldn't be more than like 12 years old came walking and it's like, hey guys, did you guys check this out? There's this new band coming out. It's called I think the Beatles and they're free on YouTube. And my heart just dropped at face palm and I started laughing my ass off at these little girls who were behind me who thought that the Beatles were some new up and coming band that were free on iTunes.
Bruh.
I was so hurt when I heard that. I was like,
I was hurt.
you
That
guys are
just hurts me
fucking
hearing it.
retarded.
Show me
Basic
interviews of John
humanity
Lennon.
lost.
Fucking
So John
heresy.
Lennon.
Glass
and-
Limb.
Oh man, Paul McCartney.
We all live in a yellow
Yeah, that's
submarine.
McCartney even still
Yeah,
alive at
that's
this point.
Remnant did.
Great dibs.
The heretics are 12-year-old girls, Arbiter. We must cross their planet to survive.
Gain the lead.
Somebody already started going.
I was trying to the Wraith is big.
I went around the corner.
Their
and
Wraith is
came
weak.
face to face with the Wraith.
Yeah, their rate is weak.
Yeah, those are rebels.
That was
And I'm dead.
terrifying.
Wraith has come to our aid,
Their Wraith is
Arbiter.
gone.
Tied the leader.
I got that rocket out for you.
Gain the lead.
RPG rocket launcher. Yes, I think so.
And we got Hoggle here. Hoggle here.
Alright, coming in.
So frog.
Eat.
So we can have the Revenant. I don't want it.
Up. And run back up.
Beam sword. Yes.
I don't know.
Going on foot. There's one above us.
Should I be worried that you're driving me?
No.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
A small bit. Not a bit.
Yeah. Just avoid people because that's
Get this guy from this thing so they don't get it.
Oh damn, they got the sword. I took him out low.
Hey, turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around. Ooh, I like that turn.
Eat, need little bitches. Wait a minute.
Up top rock, up top rock.
Ah, so close. They're both one shot.
Hey, let me in that passenger seat.
Alright, come back.
Coming back.
I haven't played this map in fucking
Oh,
forever, but I
I
probably
haven't
should be
played
running
that
jetpack, right?
I'm the only one that's like lost.
Remnant. Dip.
I'm doing
Yeah,
terrible
Wraith
right now.
back up.
They have a Wraith.
Hey, so we got
Go
rocket.
rock,
back
go
here.
rock. Oh.
Yes. So
Hey, if somebody wants to grab him, I'll give him grab him.
I'm good.
I'm gonna hide inside the gun. Don't mind me.
it's not just a tank. It's a grab.
That. Oh.
It's twice as
Wraith
dense as
Oh shit.
Lost the lead. Gain the lead.
Oh, Wraith. Ta-da.
Gain the lead.
Taking out Wraith.
Nice.
Killed me in the process. though.
Hey, as long as it's down, that's all that matters.
everything is exploding around.
Ah.
Sounds like a good time to me.
I don't get this. I just nailed somebody directly with a fucking remnant shot, and it didn't even hurt me.
I'm sorry. That was the dumbest thing ever. I just died from that.
I need a driver.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Oh, hey, I got Mars right here.
Oh shit. Got it. How you guys doing, Slayer? You wanna bitch?
I don't plan on running anybody over. There's quite a bit of them.
Corners.
Well, somebody else is doing the rocket. How this I got some questions.
Shit.
Questions.
Oh no!
What just happened? I feel like I should be scared.
You should be. There's a race.
They're
Yeah.
Oh hell! Hello.
yeah, their raid spawns super fucking quick, which means ours should be up unless Yo-Yo, are you still in it? Okay, ours should be spawning soon then.
Yep. Oh, I got sniped.
Fuck.
We got a guy in our spawn. I got him.
Alright, cool. Going up high, we gotta go right for that sniper.
Oh, I almost got the raid with the grenade.
I think need though.
They are
kidding.
with that fucking raid though. Holy fuck.
I'm sorry.
That was my fault. I jumped in front of you.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Dude, boxed in, hell.
Nice.
Good shit.
Watch that.
I didn't realize I was in there.
I hate this fucking map.
I'm already
Fucking A, yeah, shotgun.
How are we
Shotgun at
losing?
mid.
Going after the ghost.
I'm playing like shit right now, dude. I can't get my drive down.
The hunters have AIDS, officer. They are
God
tired.
damn it, dude. I've died so many fucking times from bullshit.
You're telling me I haven't even gotten a kill yet.
rocket launcher in our spawn. What's up, crabs?
Charge.
I'm sorry. I'm trying not to.
I'm on the raid.
How about we don't?
About to take the wraith out.
Literally, the moment I got into the wraith, the other wraith was on top of it.
Oh. Dude, I almost had it.
Sorry. No, hey, it didn't say betrayal.
What? Alright.
Hey, in our base.
The hunters have AIDS, officer.
Uh-oh.
I'm staying away from Warthogs. That's what keeps killing me.
If
The
I had
hunters have AIDS, officer. They are
somebody has
tired
a
inside.
I have a...
That's great.
Oh, fuck.
Me and my buddy did a lasso playthrough of Halo 2, and we got to that checkpoint
I got
so
there
many
right.
times on Great Journey
Yep. They just blew it up.
that
My wraith was one shot pretty much the entire time, so.
Okay, let's. Oh. Fuck.
So I got their guy with the fuel rod.
Oh, we
Playing
got
like
3
shit.
ghosts.
Fuck!
How's that? No.
I'm playing like absolute garbage right now.
What the f-
Yeah. Emily, nice kills.
Oh, they have
Upside.
another wraith.
Right below us.
Okay, how the hell
Their wraith respawned again.
God damn it. I didn't know there was a fucking sniper on this map.
Yeah, there was. I was trying to grab it earlier.
Oh, fuck.
Killed their race again.
You're chilling in the airport and all of a sudden you hear someone say,
14th
remember,
time because
no
they
rush.
just get a million races per game.
They'll actually rush you if you say no rush. Like there are some places they'll actually go and arrest you for that.
Somebody
Oh,
killed that
God.
fucking remnant.
What are they arresting you for? I'm so confused.
If you say no rushing in the airport.
Damn it.
Remember. Oh wow.
That's a thing? I didn't think
Yeah.
people actually like.
Double kill with a grenade.
There's a rocket launcher right around this corner, Yoda.
I'm so shitty this game. Fuck this map.
Again, you're
Okay, so am I,
telling me-
drop door.
Alright, I got
I don't
the
think
other
I
You want me to
Nine
make
kills.
food, baby? What do you want?
Fucking
Hey,
feel
anyway,
very
anyway,
kind of
anyway.
food.
I make all the food.
For the glory of milk.
Okay.
For the glory of Shax's ass. Oh wait, that's the wrong game, that's Destiny.
Race, officer.
Holy shit.
Yeah, fuck that game.
Alright, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get my cheeseburger.
Heel, how the fuck did you get so many kills?
Because he kept fucking stealing mine.
Yeah, sure.
I had every single one of my
44 kills has
stolen that
40
game.
fucking assists.
I wouldn't be surprised if I had the most assists that game. I don't even think I got a single kill. We got 2 kills in the last second.
Yeah,
I didn't even
fucking
get a
terrible.
performance bonus. That's how shitty I did. I didn't get a fucking performance bonus. I
Oh,
just got
jeez.
teamwork and match completion.
I got
Oh, no, that's
1,000 performance.
We're gonna
Oh, you got-
forget how that game
Oh,
went.
you got 44 points and 29 kills. Ah, okay.
I will be right back.
Alright, I'm back.
Can we back out for a second?
Yeah, I can
Awesome.
check this out. Oh wait, I'm not the host.
We got 4
wait.
streamers.
No. I just ranked up.
Nice.
I think Heel's host. Oh no, Yo-Yo's host.
Oh jeez, I know what I'm gonna do now.
Oh man, a bunch of bronze ranks. This will be fun.
Ooh, who's that? Robin, I like that armor.
You're welcome.
Hey, holy shit, we actually have somebody watching. Who's Kicksand?
I don't know. Hell, I can't even see how many viewers I got.
I have Mixer loaded up on my laptop.
You have all the viewers. Please not buddies. Oh thank God.
We need to get you some pictures. We do have quarters. We're gonna die. I hate this map.
I fucking love this map.
Oh, fuck sake, man.
Halo 2 every day, man.
Back just in time.
Oh wow, this is the first
So
time I played this.
why do we only have half of our team streaming it?
Already in.
Because my internet sucks and I'm not streaming while it sucks.
The sandwich, put it in for another minute and a half, and it'll be good. But flip it first.
Alright, if I remember
Is there a
correctly,
sniper anywhere?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
So
there's 2 snipers.
I currently put all 4 of your streams picture in picture inside of my stream. Have fun.
Oh, I dropped a DMR. What the hell?
got a sniper.
Damn it, you got that one first.
No, hey, no, hey.
Oh, shit,
Yeah,
shit,
I
shit.
got bored, so yeah. So I got bored, so I put all 4 of your streams on my stream. So now it's my stream plus all 4 of your streams in the corner of my stream.
I'm gonna put a stream inside your stream for a stream.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Like, comment, and subscribe to Yo Yoda Pro for all future content and news concerning
We should do
Halo,
that to every one of us.
Yeah.
Hey, we got Red Team over by
Oh shit. Oh.
I love my sword. Oh yes, I do.
Rocket
Me.
launcher. One out.
That's fine, I don't know where.
Oh, still going up high.
Yeah, that's fine, there we go.
Where'd it go?
I dropped my sniper. Hey, we got
No. I don't want to commit suicide.
no, no, you don't. No, you don't. That son of a bitch.
Oh.
Hey, we got a guy down there.
Finish him.
Dude, I spawned in and I get sniped.
I know, I just got sniped right next to you, too.
Kill the sniper.
Awesome. I got a shotgun now.
Thank
Well,
you
come
for the
close.
assist.
God, they gotta add the gold
They
warthog
got a rep
into this game mode.
Yeah,
Yep,
on
I
top
seen
of the
that.
It's almost dead.
Yep.
Wait, is the poster there?
Yeah, there's a gold warthog poster. Hey, you in? anybody pick up
Oh
rock
my
yet?
god, I'm so fucking scared right now. There's
Sniper cross.
so much shit around me going down.
Anything I
Yeah,
kill?
we got a red guy standing right on top of you, Robert.
There's a ghost at the bottom too.
This is a bad idea. Oh shit. Never mind.
Hey, where are they spawning,
Gates.
boys?
I don't know, I'm just
Hey, I lived.
Fucking died.
Let me drop forward.
Hey, they're going to our original spawn.
Hey, over here. Wait, turn around, over here.
Ah, sword.
I'm on a killing frenzy. I got one sniper bullet left.
Oh, I almost made that.
Only got 2 kills this whole match. This is bullshit.
Ah! Gunner,
You're telling
Hey,
me.
Strong,
I only got 2 kills last match. Oh.
Scratch that, make that 3.
I've
Sword
got
is
a
one
buddy
shot.
that I
This
picked up
Coca-Cola
last night
dude on the damn ghost.
in
thanks
Invasion.
for...
Damn it!
You
I'm
really-
dead! Somebody stole my kill!
Do you want to run some
Marcus.
Invasion, Trog? I've got
What about-
I've got a dude who's really freaking good.
For invasion?
Yeah,
I mean, we'd have to leave our group. But, yes?
I mean,
If people...
it's up to you. I mean, I'm probably gonna join him after this game because I'm down to play Invasion. I love Invasion.
I'm gonna go spend some time with my girl after this game.
I'ma just keep playing until
I'll
I gotta go
join
bring
you
my
too.
daughter to.
That way they can get some of their main guys. I'll
I gotta go bring my daughter to her
Yeah,
That way we can-
mom's
I'm
after
finishing-
here.
Whoa! Wrong way.
Probably going to go make some food, and then I might do some fire.
Only if you play matchmake, I believe, because it doesn't work when you don't play matchmake.
Fucking love firefight.
That's good shit.
Yeah, you have to play it matchmaking.
Can we search for like, can we do
You just
matchmaking?
splattered my kill, man. I got the assist off of that.
Wait, hold on.
Wow,
How
that
many
guy got
people are we- how many
fucked.
people are we losing after that?
Legacy's gotta drop off his daughter.
Teal. And then I don't know who else.
My buddy that I'm playing with, and then probably my brother. So we got 4.
Oh, they were asking how many we're losing.
Fuck.
Iron, are you gonna... Do you want to join us, Iron?
What are we doing?
We're probably gonna switch over to Invasion.
I mean, I'm down. I'm just, every time we're in between games, I just go and do a snack.
Alright. Well, that way it'll give us a bigger team teal, so we'll have me...
Damn it, I thought I had a jetpack.
Everybody.
Oh!
So then, who we have? Hey, Marcus, you said you were
Didn't mean to.
No, Legacy, you just pushed me out into the open while I was one shot.
Rip.
Marcin, are you staying or are you leaving?
I'm staying.
Yo-yo?
God, I would love to get the
I was
sniper rifle,
debating
dude.
on a nap, but I could probably go play some Invasion.
I just got shot to a fucking wall. I got a sniper on my X if you want it, Teal.
Oh,
we
you
have enough.
dick.
Yo-yo, one man, Marcin. If you guys want to go and do a matchmaking firefight, we can try to do that if you want to.
Oh, fuck.
I'm gonna go spend some time with my girl after this.
What about you, Yo-yo? Or that, or
Actually, guys,
Shit.
I got a buddy that
Forgetting I don't have my
hopped on,
goddamn
so
jetpack.
don't
Gotta
miss
put
him.
that back
I'll
on.
probably just, go play
Yeah,
some
it's
games
fine.
with him.
hold on, who said that?
I
Iron
am
did.
face planted. I am laser.
No, I'm
with
dropping
a
off my
broken
daughter.
back.
Well, man, you said you were going to hang out with your girl after this?
Yo-yo, I think it's Yo-yo ones now.
I was already doing it
The one game we all decided
for about 4 hours now. Yeah, one of them was me because I'm streaming all 4 of your streams into my stream.
Yay.
Quad. I added to your co-stream. You know.
Oh, I know.
Now, if I can get half-breed online, but he's probably got school or
Oh,
some shit. Ah,
Well, people want to still stay like party up to the invasion.
Oh my god, there's like 6 people in the Their whole team is in that fucking.
Oh shit! God damn it! I was trying. Ah.
Behind you,
Clear
Zero.
him out. Is there a way we can get a vehicle up there?
No.
Oh, I didn't know I could make that jump.
They got a sniper, shotgun. They have the whole works, dude.
Yeah, I seen
Sure,
that.
yeah,
Shit. Speaking of
Damn
which,
it! I wish I could flip it sideways and just like. Eh.
Go for it.
I'm trying to get down.
God damn it! They got two guys with shotguns up there.
turn around. Turn around. I know
Careful,
I
bro.
can
They have
do
two
it.
shotguns up there.
Ah.
Hey,
That's a rough
I just got
answer.
assassinated.
They have two sniper rifles.
sorry.
Did they have two
Wow.
snipers as well? Fuck.
Doing good.
Fuck.
They got rockets up there now too.
I'm
Alright,
like,
they
why didn't
finally
they
cleared them
spawn?
out.
Welcome to Experience Center Road. Story. I mean,
You got fucked up.
They got a guy on the Warthog.
we just got our ass
I
kicked.
have the power.
But so
I have the
the
power.
fuck grenades. Someone threw a grenade up here and then all the grenades on the floor exploded. Oh, I did so bad.
Fortunate sun intensifies.
Game over.
Does anyone
I mean,
have
I'm surprised I
any
wasn't in
idea
last place.
where,
I got 5 kills, but that was bullshit.
I win. I'm the wiener.
I'll talk to
Tail's
you guys
gone.
later.
Alright.
Yeah, I'll take it easy.
Yeah.
Are they getting off?
One man.
Yeah, I'll be on in
I'll probably.
I'll be on in like about
Yeah, I'll
20,
be
30
on at a
minutes
different
or
time.
less. I just have to drop
Plus,
off
I
my
got a
daughter.
different buddy to play with right now.
I'll stick around. I just gotta go to the bathroom.
Oh, you can invite me if you want.
More?
Yeah.
Alright,
You
let
guys
me
wanna-
see what I got.
I'm still
looking
staying
for-
on, so.
I'm looking for some Halo Reach maps to download. Hold up.
Looks like we're clear, Lieutenant.
Here, give me a second. I'm actually gonna
Yo, Iron. We're gonna do some invasion. You down? Invasion is fucking amazing. What's up? Oh.
Don't worry, Iron Giant. You and I will be probably be doing the worst. They'll probably just have to carry us.
Oh, Robin Hood, you dropped out. We replaced you. I'm sorry, bro.
I feel so bad now.
Spectrum sucks, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Am I? Oh.
They're actually not that bad in some areas. I had Spectrum for like the last 5 years up in Wisconsin.
Okay, so we have 7 people. Who isn't coming? I'm so confused.
So apparently, as of right now, everybody was down for invasion. All 7. But Robin's internet crapped out.
But I can't start it because there's 7. We only can have a team of 6. Are you sure? Hey, add Trogdor. I'll play with you later. I'll help you level up.
Sweet.
Sorry, man. Okay, so we'll play some games. You call Spectrum, tell them to fucking ramp your internet back up, stop being shitty, and then we'll pick you back up.
I apologize, but this is for the shape of Italy.
God, I haven't heard one of those in a while.
I mean, this is like from back in the beginning of the decade when we were all still in high school. Someone.
The beginning of the decade? No, you gotta go back like 2 decades. What are you talking about? You gotta go back.
Please
to, like,
ensure
2000.
everyone. Okay, so.
The turn of the millennia.
Yeah, I'm getting it too. So I'm gonna restart my Halo as well.
Yeah,
everybody just restart. Everybody just restart.
Actually,
your
hold on.
Collection.
Everybody go over to settings, go over to gameplay, and make sure that your installed games match up.